Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We've got the top 20 rankings. We're doing things a little bit out of order this time because I got a comment last video that said I should do the podcast form before the, very short 20 minutes, well, not 20 minutes, but like 7 minutes. Here are all the teams. So we're going to unveil these in order. So if you haven't seen that video because it's not out yet, great. You're going to get to see all these as we go through them. I got all four of us here. Actually, we got Belleair, CaptainDolphin, and Mythalieon. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Having a great day.
Very good.
It's going to be a great time. We've been looking forward to this since I pitched the idea to these guys back in like January. So these are our pre-major rankings. This is post Open 3. A couple guidelines that we took for this is that we were mainly focused on the rosters right after Open 3 ended. And so as you probably know, like it's been a couple weeks since that event has ended. We've already heard of a couple roster changes and a couple roster rumors. I've got videos about that. Check that out. But essentially, all the rosters that you see here, they're ranked based on what we've seen this split. So, yeah. Aside from that, we got some honorable mentions to go through first. We'll go ahead and go in the order that I have them left to right. I happen to know we got our profile pictures above the thing, which is kind of cool. Or also webcams. So you see most of us. Myth's still got the Minecraft profile photo for now.
No, that's just what
That's actually what he looks like.
Good point.
Yeah,
I was like,
a real photo.
I was considering, I'm like, how long would it take to set up like a VTuber model of a Minecraft skin and roll with that? But it would probably take a little bit too long.
Hey, Martian, you asked us how we're doing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited for this. Yeah. And yeah, couldn't be better. I've got my honorable mention. I really threw these guys in here last minute, and it's not like with my honorable mentions I've been doing, who I have 21st. I really just want to highlight some of the teams that should be highlighted. And honestly, Novosavi still on that list because they have repeatedly been screwed by the bracket they are given. I forget who they ended up facing in the last event. It was probably Furia and then Godfidence. It was
Fury
again.
into Godfidence. Yep.
Yeah,
it was.
Like they took a little bit of a worse loss in Swiss against Moonrise, I think. But other than that, like if you're going out 9th through 12th, losing to the two of the top 3 rated teams in South America, that's pretty brutal. And not only that, it's happened like 2 events in a row because last event their only losses were to Furia, Secret, and Godfidence. So these guys have gotten completely shafted. I feel bad for them and want to keep giving them a shout because I've still got them power ranked 5th in South America. And, they could easily be 4th. We just don't know it. So.
Who's on this team?
This is Royales, Alpe, and Kaio.
Oh,
A great one.
Okay. I can't lie, I haven't heard of Alpe ever since he was rumored to go to Secret with Brad that one time, and everyone complained. I was just wondering what the hell was going on.
Yeah. All right. Let's.
Yeah, the top 4 that they did first event, that was where my opinion of their true level. Top 4, top 6.
Mhm.
And they've unlucky.
They've gotten so unlucky since.
Oh yeah, they got shafted by the group of death.
Yep. Basically twice because Godfidence took a bad upset
victim.
too. So. All right. Myth, do we want to go ahead and hop into yours? I can get it actually this time.
Are you going to chunk them or are you going to do them one by one?
Myth, what do you think?
I mean, I'm happy to just chunk them, save some time.
All right, let's chunk them. All right, we've got our first roster change on here. Or wait, is it not loading? It's not loading. I got a tab over.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Here we go. Got our first roster change one on here. All right, Myth, you got the floor.
All right, TSM. I think based on how OC was kind of strong last season, Pioneers and Power both ended, strong, even if Pioneers was a little fluky. But OC has gotten, I think, the most respect it has in a very long time, and I feel like I'm going to continue that respect into the major at least. If they don't do well at major, the respect's gone. But for now, I feel like you have to respect that region at least somewhat. So I think TSM is. Despite being 4th in the rankings, I do believe they are better than Scrims. I'm interested to see if they're going to make a roster change. For next split. Gentlemen with Eugen. Okay, let's just say the Redosian experiment. I thought it would be better because I could kind of understand what they were trying to do, but of course it just didn't work. And if I'm being honest, I do think it probably should be Ridotin and Erdogan gone, just based on who was. I do think Juicy was better than him. I think there's no world where you kick Seiko. So yeah, Eugen showed great promise, especially because he was essentially 2v3 with a Chronic, and Mythalieon was being their cameraman. Steve, I remember like three-peating against a against foe, Oslo and Maxi. That's just I have to just respect it. Three-peat, they look really good, and I think they can do some more damage. I think they can. I think they could like take a. I think there's definitely some teams that they could take it a major. So yeah, I think those are just my general thoughts on each of my honorable mentions.
All right. Yeah, I'm actually like, I don't have Luminosity on my list, so I'll touch on them pretty quickly. Obviously, the three-peat's really good, and I know there's a lot of people thinking this team is like a lot better than we've normally seen out of APAC. I'm a little bit nervous from the perspective of could they beat another team, because I do have a lot more respect for OCE this year, and with
I'm
that,
not saying
I
it could be
think
an OCE
like
team.
everyone's leveled up. And so, like, normally the team that you would expect APAC to be able to beat is that OCE 2 seed, but I think OCE 2 is just a little bit stronger than they normally are, so I have a tough time seeing it. That being said, yeah, I do think they're probably stronger than some of the lower seeded, North American, European teams. Like, once they could be making top 8s if they are on their day. So
Top 8s. I believe you.
all right. Let's go ahead. Dolphin, do you want to bunch yours as well?
I'm ready.
All right, let's run it.
Okay, I'll make these quick because we've already been going a little while. Pirates, definitely not a top 20 team for me, and they're not. These aren't 21, 22, 23 for me. These are just like personal picks. I was looking at their Swiss and I was like, this is pretty bad. And then they get a really easy bracket. But that Game 7 win against Space Station is really unfortunate loss. But
Unfortunate
they
loss.
did. That was like really good performance from them. And I think that, I don't think they should make a roster move. I think they should stick. I don't know if that's a bad take or not, but I think that team is showing promise. So Pirates stays there. I have Novus. Basically everything you've already said. I like this team. I think that they're 4th or 5th ranked, and they just repeatedly screwed, and it just it breaks my heart. And then I wanted to put Kansas City on here. JNAPS is now retired, but they did make a top 8 for their final regional, which was a good send-off, at least. I think it would have been really sad if they had gone out like 13-16. That would have sucked.
Yeah.
But it was good to see JNAPS he broke through that. I think it was 1,000 goals.
Yeah.
And like 500,000 score or something like that on the final regional weekend, which I thought was really like, it was like poetry kind of.
Yeah.
So Kansas City for JNAPS. We'll never see JNAPS on a list ever again, which is really sad.
That's tough. Yeah. To answer Dolphin's point, yeah, I was very glad as well that Naps was able to make it onto the broadcast for his last regional. I think obviously losing Friday broadcast is a bit difficult, and when we had stuff like Squishy's retirement tour, and I don't know if Rizzo announced his retirement before the last event he played. I think he did, but we were always able to see those final series and see the last time that they were on the main broadcast. And with not having Friday, it's like, okay, now Pioneers have to make top 8, and that's a very difficult order for them, especially considering they missed the first event and went out last place in the second event. So I made my predictions a little bit out of hopium that they would make top 8. Of course, that included something that aged a lot poorly because I had them over Pirates making top 8. But they still made the top 8. Was happy to see them on the main broadcast, and they got that send-off. So, yeah.
Rest in peace to a great career.
Yeah, fantastic career from Naps. Wish he had gotten that World's Trophy. But, I mean, he's got the major. I guess we'll never know, So.
That's such a good line.
Such a good line.
Think about that.
Yep. All right. Belleair,
Well,
you
if
ready?
they split right up,
Let's do it.
Wait, go ahead, Myth.
Harrison. What?
You were saying something? We missed it.
Aris and Aqua have split, right? Like Aris
Yeah.
is LF1 with Eve.
It's what'd you say in your video, Martian? Eris and Evo is the news.
Yeah, I'm looking at the whiteboard right now. It's still up there, actually. Eris and Evo are looking for one. So no idea about Aqua yet, but if he goes to Shopify Rebellion, we know who's next. So, yep. No rumors on that.
Art is next.
But yep. All right, let's go ahead.
No, I'm actually going to bring whiteboard to LAN. I'm actually I might go into Birmingham and bring a whiteboard. So
Whiteboard?
top comment gets to decide what I write on the whiteboard.
You got to get like one of those small ones that you can easily hold up as like a sign, and you can like.
Oh, those ones are fun. Yeah.
It's so great.
My favorite was
my family has one where we write like.
I don't remember which worlds it was, but they this like guy was like laying down, and then the sign says like "Wake me up when EU plays," and it was like it was at 2022 Worlds in the NA side of the bracket.
Oh,
when it was G2 versus NRG and FaZe versus V1, and this guy holds up the big whiteboard that says, "I'm ZZZ, wake me up for EU."
That's phenomenal, actually.
FaZe versus V1 was cinema, but I don't know what he's on about.
It's top tier bait for the North American fans. Like you're just asking to piss everyone off, and it probably worked. So, all right, Belleair.
I mean, fairness.
Let's get it.
I closed it so that I wouldn't be distracted, so I'm waiting to see it pop up.
Boom.
Oh, look at those teams. We already talked about Pirates. Interesting, Dolphin, that you think that they should stick. I was surprised by Hockey. He was somebody I had kind of like written off, but I thought he had a great split there. Luminosity we've already touched on, and Corinthians. Just a big fan of Brad and his game, so I think he deserves to be up there, especially with the split that they had. So really impressed by Sam overall. It's weird making these where I feel like a lot of teams get cut, and I'm just trying to show Sam the respect I think they deserve by putting another team in the honorable mentions.
Yep.
My printer is just, there's a printer behind me. It's just going off. Can you guys hear that all now?
No, we're good. We don't hear the printer. All right. So yeah, that's the honorable mentions. I think, do I unveil these? I'm not going to unveil the ones because there's like 4 teams that aren't ranked in the aggregate. I'll wait until afterwards to reveal those.
Okay.
But yeah, am I on the, okay, I am on the OBS recording one. I got this page open twice, so I'm kind of winging it. But essentially how we're going to go from here, we did the honorable mentions one by one because it just makes the most sense to group those. But we're going to unveil very similarly everyone's number 20. And then thankfully, a huge shout out to Pyroblock X. He was able to do all the math for the aggregate so that, I wasn't spoiled on what everyone's rankings are.
Oh, cool.
Pyroblocks. Okay. Pyroblock X. I'm freezing for some reason. Hopefully that's not bad.
You look good for me.
Okay.
This element is so cold, low key. I'm literally wearing my Incorrect Esports hoodie right now. So, Incorrect Terror.
Esports had I forgot they had merch. Dang.
I want it on the Twitch giveaway. I literally just went to breakfast one morning, opened my phone, and just said, "Oh yeah, I want a hoodie on Twitter."
3, 2, 1.
Send it. Number 20
and
number 19. No way. Hold on. Screw it. Just unveil 19 as well. I saw that. It's too late.
It's too late. Okay.
It's too late. 19 and 20. That's hysterical.
We're making up for lost time.
Hasn't unveiled for me yet. I'm being dumb.
No, he covered it back up quickly. Okay.
Oh my god.
No way.
That's what I saw initially. That is insane. Oh my god. That's actually the first time all 4 of us have had the same team ranked exactly the same spot.
All right.
So
crazy. Carmine Corp number 1.
Crazy. Oh, that's true.
Carmine Corp, we've all had number 1.
Carmine Corp doesn't
count. We've all had number 1. I've generally had Carmine Corp number 1 in preseason.
I did not have Carmine Corp number 1 preseason. All right. Let's roll. We'll talk about number 20. I guess I'll touch on TSM really quickly. I know that Myth talked about them as well. Wanting to give OC the respect that they do. I still have TSM at the top 20. I didn't think I guess they bump up for me a little bit here, which is a little bit surprising considering they were in the finals last event. But I do feel like everyone else who could have been making a shot for top 20 really dropped out, and I wasn't impressed by them for the most part. So I got TSM sneaking their way into number 20. Myth, you want to talk about Gothins real quickly?
Astromic continues to be. I haven't seen much, but I'll assume Zuko is cracked based on his talent scouting resume with 5.5 out of the 6 players going to the major from Sam being Astromic scout. So I'm willing to believe. Bems is a bit of an onliner, unfortunately. So when they probably make worlds for LCQ, I mean, I won't be. I mean, look, they are what they are. They're the third best team. Dugo has a 3-year contract coming because that's just how it is. And yeah, let me just. Yeah, I think that's just all I have to say, really.
All right. Dolphin, do you want to talk on Chiefs then?
Sure. Coming into that OCE weekend, I was a big believer. I was like, I think Chiefs is going to make it. I just kind of had a feeling. It was kind of a guess, right? All the teams were tied. Like, it didn't really. It was just like the team that I had chosen, and they made it. They looked good. That game 7 from scrims versus TSM was truly beautiful series.
That was amazing.
And then they promptly immediately
yeah.
roll into Chiefs and get 4-0. So that was really sad, but good job, Chiefs, for making it. I'm not a believer for their LAN performance.
Interesting.
It's probably a pretty clear 1-3. I feel like you guys are all gonna have them probably pretty close, like maybe 17-18 range is where I would think Chiefs would probably be. But I mean, I've had OCE. If you look at my last two, I've had an OCE in this range, 20 versus or 19 every time. OCE number 2, I'm just not really a believer. Really.
All right.
So.
And then Belleair, go ahead, talk about MTS for us.
Yeah, this is the Mina, Martian, Tullum, and Suspect roster. The way I'm trying to do this whole power rankings thing is kind of taking into account how strong I think each of the regions are. I'm a big believer in Twisted Minds and Falcons coming into this event, so I feel like I gotta sneak another Mina team into the top 20. And this team has produced great results. They're a fun watch. I think they're the third best team in the region. Alcadia, I think, kind of let down what we were anticipating preseason. So MTS sneaks in here.
All right. And then let's go ahead, talk about 9 Lives. Does anyone feel super strongly about this team and want to speak up first?
I think you should.
Yeah, what do you think about
All right, I was wondering. So I've been doing this rankings series. I've been a lot more focused on the strength of schedule and like who these teams are facing more often than the placements that they get, especially with how wonky the seeding can be going into groups, etc. 9 Lives, they had a tough loss in Swiss against Tech, which is truthfully a series that they shouldn't be losing. But once they get into the main event, they're facing off against NRG in the first round, and then either Strictly Business or Ultimates, I think is how it would have broken down. So an absolute quadrant of death yet again.
Mm-hmm.
A team hoping to make the major, you should be getting out of that. And where I think things went wrong is that they actually came so close against NRG. Like, they were in a game 5 overtime for several minutes before inevitably dropping that. And then it wouldn't surprise me if the mental just booms from there and they drop down to Strictly Business, who's feeling a lot more comfortable, not coming off as an emotional of a series. Don't really have much to lose. Meanwhile, if you're 9 Lives, your backs are against the wall and the pressure's on. So, yeah, they unfortunately drop out last place. I don't know if that last place is really indicative to how they rank now, because, again, Strictly Business went on to make top 8 and a really close loss against NRG. You can say, played them close award, but at the same time, it's like that's the most pushed NRG has looked this split, really, or one of the more instances of where they've looked most pushed. So they slot in at 19, still needed to be ranked. This is pre-roster moves, by the way. There's multiple rumors circulating around this 9 Live squad. The first being that Hawkster's gone, the second being that Kofer's gone, and the Hawkster's back. So not really sure who they'll end up as a third, and their ranking will adjust after the major based on who we think they're going to end up picking up. But the Kofer Hawkster Chicago version of the 9 Live slots in at 19 for me.
And all of us.
And everyone else. Yep.
Yeah, I guess we all agree with you.
So
Yep.
I don't really have anything.
That was good.
I don't really have anything to add, except I think that Kofer's giving me. I've said this before on Twitter and on the sub and stuff. Kofer's giving me really big Oxygen LJ vibes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. And he's going the same pipeline as well, based on current rumors. So should work out.
We're gonna have to kick.
Right.
We're gonna have to kick someone for who just some mid-ranking NA player.
Oh gosh, no, we're keeping our prodigies this time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so
In last
on that
time,
roster rumor,
Daniel.
I guess we didn't want to go too deep into that, but in my opinion, like Kofor is their best player, so whoever they pick up, this team will drop and they will not be on my top 20
That's fair. That's fair.
post major. Like who I don't know who that they could pick unless like some really weird higher NA thing like blows up and they grab like someone that's like better than Kofor, but I don't know if there is much available. So
Say Chronic has gone from Ultimates, so maybe he goes there.
I think it's way too soon to be calling Chronic gone from Ultimates. There's still a land
yeah,
to
we
play.
you're crazy, man.
But I mean, there's some options. It depends on, truthfully, if it's a 1-for-1 trade, I could see them staying. But yeah, that's a discussion for post Birmingham.
Yeah.
But
Maybe Wavy
Oh,
is the only player I'm
Frosty.
thinking is close
That's a
to
good point.
Kofor.
That's a good point.
But,
Frosty
yeah.
to Gen G maybe, but like probably not.
We're still
Let's
theorizing
move
on
on.
teams
All right,
making land, making changes.
Let's keep rolling, I think.
Yeah.
Unless
Can
anyone
we
has
go
anything
ahead?
more about 9 Lives.
Can we go ahead and unveil the aggregate rankings for 20 and 19? That would
Yes.
just be, column K and L for that matter, because that's the change from last week. Wow. Okay. Confidence being new on the rankings.
9 lives at 19 about not 9.
And mates are in the rankings. Okay.
I guess
Negative
Mates got really
7.
far. I have them a little higher, but since Myth doesn't have them at all, and I don't know if the other two of you guys have them.
I'm very
That's
curious to
must
see
be
where you
how
guys
they
have them,
fell
because
so
they
far.
fell completely out of mine. So,
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
all right.
Dolphin, what are you holding, man? Is that just a protractor?
No, it's a compass.
Oh, compass. Oh, compass, yeah, damn, I was getting to 2.
I
I'll
think
put it down. My
you
bad.
know
I
you're
just keep
good. You
holding
brought up
things.
compasses in my stream once, and I like brought it over here. It's not here anymore. I put it away, but
Oh,
it was
yep,
like
yeah.
sitting on my windowsill for months because of that.
I thought it was super mechanical chopsticks. I was wrong.
Oh, that's one I
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, let's roll into number.
Should we
18.
see? Do you want to look at aggregate below Godfidence? Everything that's lower.
I was gonna do that after the rankings, just so that
okay.
we
All right.
have like some idea of as we continue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wait to
the
start now, but I
seasons.
think maybe we look at the aggregates after they're all done. I know we've already kind of.
No, I still want to go one by one for the aggregates. So
Okay, ready for 18?
let's send it on 18.
Okay. I have the right line this time.
All right. Okay, there's another
Oh,
confidence. That makes
interesting.
sense why they're on the aggregate then. Chiefs are up there as well. Pirates on a boat. And Start Point
All
entering
right, Start
Myth's
Point.
rankings.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start with Start Point. Myth, go ahead.
Firstly, I'm more naturally chronic biased.
That's fair, yeah.
No reason why. But I think this team. I was hoping that like a Chronic and Eugene get a better third, because to put the way Shift is put, Mythalieon has been nothing but a cameraman for them.
What does that mean?
Yeah, but hey, they seem to be going a separate. He's just been recording the goals, bruv. He's been doing nothing to this team. Oh no, he's scored a few good goals against who was it? Sense.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that series. That was
That was a
Geark
great
and,
series too.
Oh, great series, great
That was
series.
Geark and that was just a 2v2 series with occasional guest appearances from Mythalieon and Matt, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Okay,
makes
but
it
yeah,
fun.
Chronic is this is the best the Chronic has looked since like Liquid or maybe Regional 6 last season. I think he did actually look kind of good there. Hey, he seems to be back scoring the nice stuff. He's still very, very young, so I'm excited to see him on like good teams. Get some good offers. Maybe some. I guess maybe like an 100% comes calling or something like that. But yeah, I just like. I know they're splitting now, but hey, I just think they ended the season strong. Ended the split strong, rather, with 2 good finishes in the last 2 regionals. And yeah, I just think they're playing some good teams to Vitality to 5 and 6. And I know Vitality have probably been a bit. Well, let's save the Vitality conversation for Vitality.
Yeah.
But a very good team.
All right. Yeah. I think that's completely valid. I like the shout. They've again, gotten 2 solid results.
Oh, we've all got new teams on here.
Actually, that's
new
true.
Teams on here.
Yeah, for at least individually, us ranking them. Dolphin, you want to touch on Confidence and why you might have them higher than 20?
Oh, sure. They made that finals. They had that long run all the way through lowers. I just I think that they're as close to second in SAM as as they'll ever be. They're still definitely third, but close to second.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's not a ton new. They had some good series in there. Didn't look good in the finals, but what can you do?
Exactly. Yeah. Not too many teams can look good in the finals against this.
Furia was just Furia's just
Mhm.
yeah, Furia's just better. So
Yep. All right, and then
we'll
Belleair,
try.
want to give you the floor to talk about OCE. I remember you've got a video or something where you said one thing that you wish you had done with past rankings is put a little bit more respect on OCE. I remember you had wildcard ranked around this spot last time we did this. Now you got Chiefs here. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, it's from when we had done that video that you had put out, and everybody was like, Belleair has them so low, and I was like, you know what? Because the read on wild card has always been they're right around that top 8 for lands, and if there's a team that's that close and is consistently trying to move themselves into that playoff spot, I think it's probably unfair to have them too much lower. So I do think I was lower on OCE, partially just because of how turbulent it's been. We haven't really known who is rising above the pack there in a very clear way. But this Chiefs team, super exciting. I think that Fiber is a player who I looked at this roster and I was like, but you think back to the World Championship. I thought Fiber looked great when they knocked out Gen G. He's been scoring a ton of crazy goals in these recent events here. So if he's going to show up with confidence and be able to put some of these defenses on notice and have them clamoring, I think Hunter and Raziers are really good pieces around Fiber as an X factor. So Chiefs strong, a very strong 13-16 heading into this Birmingham Major.
All right. And then I'll go ahead and touch on the Pirates on a Boat. I don't know. I see 2 of them in honorable mentions. Myth, I'm going to take a guess and say you don't have them ranked.
I do not have them ranked.
Okay.
I kind of
He's got them top 10, I think.
Top 10. Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Unbelievable. Anyways, I was saying this in our conversations after this event where I was like, I have a lot more respect for this Pirates on a Boat top 4 run than I did for Team Evo's top 4 run. And last week I had Team Evo at 18. So I had a hard time like justifying putting them lower. I think not only that, like this POAB squad, they took down NRG and the Swiss as kind of like a hello, we're here. And so if you compound that, like that on its own doesn't get you into a top 20, but you compound that with also taking down a team that's, it's a little bit far-fetched, but they are going for a land spot and Deleted Gaming. They take them down. Or no, Omelet took them down, my bad. But they take down Omelet. They make the top 6 from that form, and then they take down Space Station, who's, very much inland contention at this point. Takes a miracle to knock them out by the end of it, and the miracle starts with POAB winning that series. So thought they looked pretty solid. Obviously, they get trounced by Gen G later on, but wanted to have them in here. There's a likely chance they drop out. This could be, Hockey's one top 4 performance that he puts up every season or so. But at least for now, they earn my respect. I like 5 Up a lot as a player as well, so they're number 18 for me.
I appreciate it.
Touch on them. I think 5 Up is going to be a piece that a lot of teams can look for upgrades. Like I can see Chicago and Hoxer grabbing him. I think he
That's
could
fair,
be
yeah.
on like that list.
I was a little
To be honest,
surprised.
the reason I don't.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, what are you saying?
No, you keep going. Sorry.
My one thing is, as Martin, I know this will be a little hard here, but I think that SSG series was more SSG playing bad than it was playing good. And don't get me wrong, I think 5 Up and Hockey also surprised me how well he played. But 5 Up played really well.
Yeah.
I also think that SSG were not playing their best.
Mhm.
So that's kind of why I don't rate it, and I don't rate one-off performances. I need to see more from that.
That's fair. Yeah. So
That was such a fun series.
To go off what you said about Evo, I had Evo around this area last time, but there's a difference between doing good 1 out of 2 regionals and doing good. And I guess Evo had that 8 and 4. Pirates has only had this only 1 fourth place. So it's really the NRG win in Swiss, which I don't really think about very much, and then that good Space Station series is what I'm looking at from them. Omelet series, I don't really care at all. So,
yeah, Omelet's a bit of a stretch. I forgot that it wasn't deleted there. But I was also looking at the 2 times that they went out 9th through 12th. I forget who one of their losses was to. One of them was to Rebellion on the weekend they made top 6, I believe. So felt a little bit more like, strength of schedule didn't look terrible, and they've also always gone 3-1 through the Swiss. So it was at least, I could see the vision to put them up here, at least based on this one performance.
Yeah, Regional 2 was complexity into Shopify. That's probably you don't win either of those. I think that's fair. And then Regional 1 is Ultimates into Evo.
Okay. So, all right.
Ready for 17?
Let's
do aggregate 18 first.
Aggregate 18, yeah.
Aggregate.
Oh, be interesting. I think it's 9 lives.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They go up on the aggregate compared to where we got all of them ranked. So I feel like no, I guess that does make sense because there's a little bit more fluctuity here. But and I'm guessing we already know that POAB aren't going to be ranked in the aggregate. I have a feeling Start Point aren't either. So with that being said, let's jump to number 17.
Ready. Where is Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Belleair has a very good pick right there. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very
I like
much.
that one. Yeah.
I agree with you.
All right.
I like your pick.
I'll go ahead and leave the floor to you two then. Gentlemates at number 17.
You first?
Take it.
Okay. I really was a believer on this team pre-season. I said Gentlemates is number 3 in EU. Just trust me. That has clearly crashed and burned. This has been a terrible project, and it really, after Regional 2, you can cope and say, well, it was one bad loss to Ascend. It's a single upset. Lots of good teams can drop single series one time, but now you're looking at that Regional 3 performance, and that's really, really where it's clear that this is like all falling apart, right? But I still do believe that 2 of these players are still land quality, and
You don't think Seiko is land quality anymore?
The 2 I'm thinking are Seiko and Juicy. Yeah. Radosin has really, really. I mean, it's not so obvious. Like, wow, this guy like is 100% out of here for sure. I mean, they're exploring different possibilities, but I think Radosin's got to go, and. I don't know. I mean, if you give me 9 lives versus, like 9 lives versus Gentlemates, I think I would give Gentlemates today.
I agree.
So,
and one thing though is I don't think Radosin is like miles off Juicy. I think Juicy has had some pretty bad shows.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not super close. It's not. Yeah. It's sometimes you can say Juicy was their worst on any series, but. I think if you look at all of the series as a whole, right?
Yeah, I feel like I remember us having. I feel like we had a similar conversation just as like a general community when Zen was coming in. It was like, is it going to be Seizen or Radosin? Radosin is constantly finding himself in this like because he's more of like a utility player than just like a pop off the screen.
I think there's a difference there because I think obviously it was kind of if you like ignore the Winter Major, then obviously Seizen was going to go. I think Seizen actually played pretty decently at the Winter Major, so it was a bit more leeway. I think everyone kind of knew that he was gone, even though he had a pretty good Winter Major.
It was just a names thing. They were like, we can't have Zen and Seizen. It's just confusing. We gotta.
Sure.
Didn't even matter.
I do think though, like with Juicy, I think people are a bit kind of overrating because of his performance in the 1 circuit recently, and also like we all know with Juicy, there's just a thing that he just showed that godly form at Copenhagen, and never showed it before or since. So I think there's a little bit of reliance that maybe like they can find a way to try and bring that out of him like more often. But as I wouldn't be like. If they decide to keep Juicy for like a Eugen, I would say I trust him, but then again, this is the old bit kid Itachi for Radosin, so hey, you never know, eh? But yeah, I wouldn't hate it if Juicy's gone and Radosin stays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I think that makes sense.
Go for it, Belleair.
No, I was just gonna add to what Dolphin was saying. Like Gentlemates for me in a vacuum on paper. This team is still incredibly talented. I think it was just compounding pressure. They totally tripped out of the starting gates in Open 1. And then just ever since, they couldn't really, bad losses accrued. over time. And I think they just got way too into their heads. Like if this was like an NBA 2K, like you're just simulating the quality of two teams going up against each other, I think Gentlemates beat a lot of teams in the world, but just the real life factors of like them understanding they were underperforming seemed to just, continue to add up. So I still rate them even though they had awful results.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right.
I don't think. Oh,
I'll touch on Gentlemates really quickly because I know I mentioned I don't have them in my list, and you could probably see it start to add up why they are at 19 on the aggregate. But I was not hitting the panic button last time. I was saying, one bad loss to Ascend, nothing to worry about. I should have been a little bit more. I will shout out Pyroblocks again because I've also been taking he hasn't been part of the aggregate just yet, but I have been reviewing his rankings. He's been sending me a top 20 every single week. And after event 2, he had Mates dropped down to number 20. And I was like, whoa, Mates at 20 after one loss to Ascend. And he fixed it. I was like, dang it, dude, don't fix it. Like, just, I love that you like put something so bold out there. And of course, the minute that Mates loses, he messages me like, wow, guess I was completely right. And I'm like, there's no way he called this. So we'll shout him out for that. Yeah. What one loss to Ascend isn't that bad. Losing to Ascend and then Synergy, that's a little bit more dire. So in terms of roster changes,
You got to be beating those when
Yeah.
you're in a situation where it's like a finals or Miss Major. You can't. It's a lot of pressure, but
if there
it's got to be 3-0.
exactly, if there's
Always.
quote graphics saying 1% chance, 99% faith, you can't be losing to Synergy.
Exactly.
I think
Myth.
it's with Gentlemen. With Gentlemen, I understand the idea though. Like, I don't understand what they're trying to do with. Because I think everyone noticed that Seiko wasn't as explosive as he had been on like. I know it's quite a big callback, but like BDS and even going back to Endpoint, he wasn't like he wasn't the like guy who's just scoring like insane stuff all the time. He was like more reserved, more defensive. And like when they announced the Redosa move, I'm thinking, okay, this is them trying to get Seiko back into a more shooty role.
Yeah.
More like but clearly hasn't worked. So
All right.
so I don't know why I felt the need to say that.
No, you're good. I think we've probably covered Gentlemates then pretty extensively. Let's move on to Myth. You want to talk about SSG?
Well, bipolar disorder, the team. That's what I put them as.
Yep.
How can you be doing that, bro? Like, you look so good, Regional 1. People are calling XP a top 5 coach. People are saying that they're gonna like win lands and stuff. And then they missed Regional 2, come out Regional 3, look decent. They beat NRG, and I was like, holy hell, they're back. And
They
then
looked great on Friday. I want to say not decent, but amazing.
Yeah.
On that Friday, not.
Okay, in fairness, I do kind of
I'm
believe
revising the history to make sure that it's remembered.
kind of
That was a
buy
great
the whole
Friday.
they didn't care. I do kind of believe the whole they didn't care thing.
A little bit.
Oh wait,
But
No, I don't. I never believe that. I always cope.
yeah. So
yeah, keep going,
we
Myth.
just cannot be losing to the teams they did, and roster change. I think that's pretty lateral move. I think I rate Kofa and Frost did about the same. Maybe if there's mental issues, but it could fix them. But I'm interested to see. I do think this team's time's kind of done. A split free, and I know it's a controversial opinion, but if you look at all the other young teams, like I dislike the Liquid comparison, but I think that is probably looking at them by their third split. They like won regionals, done decently in lands. Like this team by their third split, I haven't done anything, or not anything like really significant. Like they have one top 4, one top 2.
Yeah.
So I do think the time was I think they were running out of time, and I prefer them to like make a change and not just become even more stagnant.
All right. I assume rest of us will. Maybe I shouldn't assume, but there's a chance the rest of us will talk about Space Station later.
Yes.
I'll go ahead.
There's a chance.
There's a chance. Okay. I'll talk about 100% then. Is everyone else going to be talking about 100%? I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soon.
Because I know I was the first one. I had them ranked the highest after event 1. And now it looks like I've catapulted to having them the lowest, which is kind of, indicative of, I guess, how reactionary my rankings can sort of be, right? I had them jump to 14 initially. Now they're down to 17. looking back on it, they had that loss to Geekay that eliminates them from land contention. We all thought at the time, it's like, all right, well, our 4 spots in Europe are secure, right? Haha. In hindsight, losing to Geekay does not look as bad. Ugly series, in fairness. Like, both teams look super nervous, and Geekay's lucky to escape with that win. Probably the luckiest they were all weekend. The rest of it was just absolute pedal to the metal. But really where I'm a little bit more nervous about 100% is losing to Redemption and Start Point. I know both those teams ended up making top 6 and top 8, but those are, Redemption hadn't won a series yet in the entire season, basically, outside of Swiss stages. So dropping that when you've got a path to land, I mean, you were looking at a pretty, you had to go through Redemption and Start Point, but you're looking at a reasonable path to make top 6 and really put yourself in the conversation even more so. And you didn't get past the first hurdle against a team that was 0-4 in main event. That's a little bit of a warning sign. And then losing to Start Point in the seeding match, you can say what you will about how that ended up working out, where they do end up facing Geekay and are on the better side of the bracket for it. But those are the warning signs that have me dropping 100% a little bit further than most. So.
Sounds logical to me.
Yep.
Agreed.
Do you want to unveil aggregate 17?
Yep.
I've got my notes up on my phone. My
Now,
computer's running too slowly.
Chiefs
All right.
17.
Chiefs 17.
So that means you guys still have them coming up soon, probably really soon.
I guess we would, yeah, because I don't think Myth would honorable mention TSM and not have them ranked. Let's go ahead and unveil 16 and see if Myth and I are matching here.
Well, I thought I forgot Chiefs for a second. Okay. Luckily, I
There you go.
didn't.
We are.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Oh,
There's the call. I'll go ahead and touch on Chiefs and then let Myth follow up. I feel
no, I can't talk about Genji.
I feel like our Myth was hoping he beat Lois on Genji, wasn't he? With
That is
Chiefs
tragic.
and honestly all of OCE, I feel like we reverted back to Regional 1 state. So Regional 1, you had Wildcard beating Chiefs in the finals. Regional 2 was really wonky with TSM pulling an upset over Chiefs and then Scrims World winning the whole event, upsetting Wildcard twice. Event 3 was, okay, Chiefs and Wildcard are actually the 2 best teams, but we just made it really competitive for a second. After an absolute phenomenal series between TSM and Scrims, Chiefs swept them, as you mentioned, Dolphin, and really proved that, hey, we're a level above. Even if TSM, you could use the excuse if they're tired, they're more worn out. Like, Chiefs made a statement in that series to put themselves back up. They're going to land now, and excited to see what they can do. So, Myth, you want to touch on Chiefs quickly?
No. I mean, my one thing is I will always resent this Chiefs team. Like, it's not even the players' fault, but I was so hyped to see Banana Head fight by Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
So, and honestly, I think I have a sinking suspicion the roster change might be coming for us. I don't know if this is insane to say. Actually, no, I'll separate my section on another team. I wonder which one that could be.
Wild card. Talking about wild card.
Yeah, I'm talking about wild card, but I'll talk about it when it comes to. But I think this Chiefs roster could be a different team by next week.
Interesting. All right. I'll go a little bit backwards than we've been going. Normally, try to touch on the new teams first, but I'll let Dolphin talk about 100% before Belleair takes the floor.
Sure. There wasn't too much to go off of. I think mine was kind of the opposite of yours, where I had 100%. What I thought was really low after Regional 1, I had them 17, but it turns out that was pretty agreed with, because Belleair and Myth both had them 17, and then I dropped them. Oh, I actually moved them up after Regional 2 because a lot of other teams were kind of choking, and then down again here, but only a little bit. You lose to Geekay in 7, and then they go on to make a good run. So you're looking at that as with the hindsight, not so bad.
Yeah.
Redemption loss, of course, pretty miserable. But if you look at it as Redemption is this team that hasn't won anything, but when you look at the players on that roster, I'm not ever saying, oh, Redemption should never be winning that. Like, I'm looking at it as like that was probably pretty close to a coin toss. Maybe 60-40 for 100%, and they just kind of came out a little slower, and that's fine. That's in the uppers. I'm not looking at those series as super dire. Same with the lower bracket seeding match. Like, losing to Starpoint really did kind of help them, which is terrible that the format allows for that.
Yeah.
But dodging vitality is always what you want. So, nothing really insane. They were about 6th in EU this split, which I think is a little over. Like no one was really expecting them to be number 6 in EU, right? But
Yeah.
Acro had a really great split. I think he might find a new home somewhere.
He did, yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, 100%.
All
Good
right.
team.
And then Belleair, why don't you talk to us about Gen G Mobile 1 Racing?
Yeah, I mean, I apparently I'm the lowest on this team. I would assume that everybody probably has them. I'd say there's 3 teams that I've really struggled. I have the 3 teams that I have moved most often coming into this major is Gen G, Complexity, and Dignitas. I just don't really have a great read on them. And Gen G, I feel like I have the most ammunition on both sides of it. I just really got to a spot mentally where I thought this team was done. I did not think that they would be able to overcome a big pressure moment. FIFA E was kind of one of the final big daggers for me. And I just had a completely wrong read on them. Being able to make this grand finals, secure themselves a spot, I think it talks a lot to the pressure that some of the other teams felt. But, you know, Gen G deserved to be here, probably higher. I won't talk too long because I know that you guys will have thoughts on them as well, higher up.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into
Do
aggregate
aggregate.
16.
I'll do the aggregate.
All right.
Sure.
Ooh.
100% lands here. Okay, they've appeared twice. That makes sense. I feel like we'll normally start to see teams appear twice when we get to the aggregate, just based on how math works. But
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly how math works. Amazing.
exactly how math works. All right. And if we get
15,
into
number 15.
number 15, yeah.
All right.
Already an hour into recording. Oh,
Yep.
no.
Okay, we got 2 SSGs, 1 Gen G, and 1 100%. We were just talking about Gen G, so Myth, you want to continue the thoughts?
Right. That's the sound of me flexing my hands because this team is rubbish. This team is awful. NA, what are we doing? Reckles winning a regional in the big 2020. Come on now. That's embarrassing. Low key, that is so embarrassing. This team's floor is low enough where they could generally go 0-3 and lose to Luminosity. Hell, they could get taken to 5 by Foot. I'm not kidding when I say this. This team is so bad. What do you mean you go from getting farmed by Sam Bubble players months ago to winning a regional in NA? That is just that's just indicative of how bad, like how poor NA is as a region at the moment. It just. I'm aware I'm not exactly fond of this team. I may be preying on their downfall. Yeah, some ace. Okay, not really, but I just think they're really bad.
See, here's the thing, Myth. I thought we had some character development out of you recently. In fact, I believe I saw an interaction with you on Twitter with Ground Zero, where you were saying that you didn't exactly hate Gen G anymore. You've grown. I only dislike the team now as opposed to hating them. I do have that screenshot.
I just don't enjoy watching them. I just don't enjoy watching them because this team is like just the only way they win is if other teams play bad. And I think they're just getting in. I'll give them the credit, some credits.
Yeah.
They did play well in the regional. I don't think them playing well should be enough to win a regional in NA. And the fact that it was enough. Yeah, let's all admit Ultimates were not looking nearly as good as they were against NRG, against the team that played
obviously.
in the semi-finals. I forgot who was that again.
They played Pirates.
Poab. That was our bad. But
Gen G play Pirates.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean Ultimates.
Ultimates played NRG. Yes. And that I was there. 4-0.
It was
Beautiful
Complexity that
Oh,
you
right,
might
yeah,
be thinking of.
that's true. Like, they play really well against. Let me just don't play well against Gen G. I think. Look, they played well, but I don't think they're good enough to do any like sweepings in the major. I think as a region, you'd rather want SSG there to like develop the talent, as Shift would put it.
Mhm.
I just don't. I don't rate this team. It breaks my heart that that Belleair hasn't lower than me, so I didn't get to talk about them first.
All
But
right.
yeah, I No, but I don't dislike the players. I just dislike this team as a unit because I think it just represents this like stagnation of North America as a region.
I could honestly see that. We'll talk. I'm assuming Dolphin has them ranked, so he's probably got them ranked higher. So we'll talk about a bit more of the bright side when it comes to Gen G a little bit later. I'll kind
Are you
of
on the bright side for them? Because I'm more on the doom and gloom. I'm with this.
I'll bring the bright side later.
Okay.
But I'll kind of
Oh, thank
transition
you.
because I know Myth brought up that we would rather see SSG at the major instead. Dolphin and I have SSG ranked here, so I'll transition that into this discussion. I've got a pretty solid line in between 15 and 14. So I have a lot more faith in my 14th ranked team doing anything rather than if my 15th ranked team were to be making land. As Dolphin stated, this team looked great on Friday. They looked phenomenal. What happened? What happened? I'll be asking myself that a lot. It's no secret where my allegiance lies with this team.
You can take the players out of SSG, but you can never
You can't
take the SSG out of the players.
Yep. But yeah, losing to Poab, definitely a tough loss. Losing to Ultimates afterwards, like expected. Sure, it was brutal. To be honest, like I don't really care.
It was almost a perfect sweep.
I don't really care.
Such a beautiful series.
Like we weren't expected to win that series, especially after losing to Poab. We just had to take care of business against them. They move up in the rankings because this is better than missing a main event. I think that's pretty obvious. But they move up also due to other circumstances, 100% not performing as well. But yeah, obviously roster changes are on the horizon for this team. We'll talk about this more later, but based on current rumors, I don't really know if that would affect where I have them ranked. I think this was a unique team where any three of them could be popping off and be the best player on the day. I don't think bringing in Kofor changes that. But yeah, it'd be great to see their talent developed, but they've also there's still some development that they got to do in North America before they're ready. And I think that's been made pretty clear this split. So Dolphin, you want to touch on SSG as well?
I don't know that I have too much to say that you haven't said. I mean, we've discussed them on the opposite side when we all talked about Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
You got to win that.
Yeah.
And then it's just really, really, you're sitting there in the same situation as Nip are sitting there from 1 week earlier, where it's like all that has to happen is not for Gen G to win, or all that has to happen is not for GK to win, and both of those things happen, and it's just so scripted.
Yep.
It does. I think this was the right time for them to be making a change when they don't make this major. I agree that this is the right time. It is unfortunate that there are extenuating circumstances to add to the pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to put them above Gen G, but that seems silly.
Yeah.
When they're not making the major. And I also agree with you that I have much more faith in my 14 and higher. This is the line of teams that are trying for seriously having any chance of top 8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Nothing.
All right.
Nothing too new from me.
Okay. And then Belleair, 100%.
Yeah, you guys already talked on 100%. I'll just add, I was really impressed by Rezi as the split went on. And the other thing, this team spent 40 minutes in overtime, which is just unbelievable.
Jeez.
They had the 3 players on this team were all top 4 in overtime goals scored. They just lived in overtimes and deep series. And, for an esport that I think one of the most important words, especially at the highest level, is pressure, this team handles it incredibly well. So 100% were really impressive.
All right.
Another thing that I think it was your video that showed me, 100% was winning almost 30% of the games where they got scored on first or something like that.
Yeah.
You remember that stat? That was really interesting. I'd never seen something like that. I've never seen that stat. I feel like it's always you get scored on and then you just kind of the other team can kind of camp out, but 100% doesn't care if they get scored on first.
Yeah, we
they
don't.
Can go
Yeah,
back they can score 3 back on you, and it's no problem, right?
No.
So
probably the best kickoff team in the RLCS in
That
split
as
1 as well. I think. Yeah.
Yep. All right. We want to hit
the best
aggregate
kickoff team is
15?
definitely, in my opinion, GK.
Oh, that's
AF
true.
Kickoff.
AF
AF kickoff.
The not moving.
Yes.
And he
Alright.
just unhid a bunch of like half Belleair's list when I'm trying to highlight it.
Sure.
SSG aggregate.
SSG at 15th. That sounds right.
Yeah, that makes some sense.
We've seen 3 of them.
Yep. And 2 of them are here. So
And I think Genji is probably next. That's my guess.
that would make some sense too. All right, let's go ahead and unveil number 14.
This list is like closest to the aggregate so far.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. 2 wild cards,
Wow.
a 100% and Space Station. We were just talking about 100% a decent amount. So Myth, you want to continue that trade?
Well, first off, it's funny that me, Belleair, and Dolphin all have them moving down 2 spots. Just
Oh,
noticed
yeah.
that. Martin, you had to fraud it.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay, basically, this may be just my dislike of Genji showing, but I kind of just thought, okay, this is just a solid team. I mean, you know, EU is just stronger than NA right now. I think that's just
The
it's
truth.
just a
I agree.
but EU depth. I think this is just a really good. It's a good sign for these players because, like, I think these players kind of remind me a lot of the Omelette roster in NA, which kind of like, okay, yeah, these guys have been next up for years now. But I think they're just a solid team. Honestly, I think Acro could be going places. Rezi's look probably the best he's looked since maybe Hoga mode. Actually, he had a few good shows on Jobless.
Oh yeah.
Last season. Lewis P. I've been a random micro Lewis P fan for like ages now. Just because something random, random happened ages ago. So yeah. So I don't know. I don't really much more. So you kind of said everything. All my thoughts, to be honest.
All right. Belleair, you want to talk about Space Station?
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk roller coaster team, huh? I changed my opinion on them, I think, after every single series they played.
Yep.
Where it was like, this team's awful, this team's the best. Especially like in Open 1, the fits that they gave NRG, putting them 3-1 in the grand finals, I was like, oh man, this team is here. They get the org. They're just growing. I could close my eyes and just, remember queso vibes. Obviously, it doesn't seem like they're going to reach that point. Now they're fracturing. We made these ratings beforehand, but the like you could approach a top 20 in a million ways, and kind of the guardrails I tried to give myself is, would this team beat this team? And I still think if they play tomorrow, Space Station beats 100%. 100% beats Genji. So, despite them bombing out, yeah.
All right. Dolphin, you want to touch on wildcard first?
Sure. I think this was this is what we all saw coming. All wildcard qualifying is OC 1 seed. They're the best team in OC. Regional 2. We can forget about that. We can say that that's a little blip on the history, and just they're gonna go 9th to 11th as they always do, right? The top is more stacked. I feel like we always say the top is more stacked, but the top is more stacked now with Twisted Minds being a true top 8 competitor. Now we have 2 Mina top in there, and so it's always like 3 or 4 EU, 1 or 2 2 NA probably, and then 1 or 2 Mina and 1 Sam. And then how is OCE gonna beat any of those teams to make it in there? I don't think so. But wildcard, it is a little bit unfortunate, I think, that they're the best team, because I do think that OCE, if they were smart about their roster moves, could put together something strong enough to be in top 8. But maybe I'm just a Torsos hater, but he's so old, and watching his gameplay, it's just like, I don't know, it's not inspiring to me that he's still like on that number 1 roster. But I did really like Power as an organization last year. I always liked Lachlan as a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have any feelings about Wildcard. I have no idea who they are, but I think they're going to be as they always are.
All right. Yeah, I feel kind of bad having them at 14 in all honesty. And I feel like for me, it's kind of the effect of, I see all this online play. I see how North America and Europe stack up, and the teams that I have above them have more of an opportunity to beat better competition, as opposed to like wild card. You really got to be perfect, and if you're not, then you're probably dropping in rankings. I don't have them moving, but it's like, I still have Gen G to go on my list, right? I have Gen G ranked above them because like they showed me something that wildcard doesn't really have an opportunity to do so online. So I feel bad having them at 14th. It wouldn't surprise me to see them go 2 and 3, and they'll probably pull off an upset against someone that I'm not expecting them to do that. And then I'll have them ranked closer to the top, 11 again. But yeah, I do agree that it'd be cool to see more talent consolidation, but I also feel like that failed. This is where Myth normally brings up the Banana Head Fiber Hunter roster. I thought as well that roster could be pushing for the top, and was very disappointed when not only did it not work in the offseason, but they had to just blow it up and go back to where they were. So that being said, I feel like OCE is being a lot more challenging this year. I mean, you can see it by the rankings. I have more faith in OCE 3 to do well internationally than I would Sam 3 or Mina 3, which is a little bit of a tragedy because we're probably not going to get OCE 3 unless these two do phenomenally on land. So, but yeah, that's why I got wildcard at 14.
Right. Fun fact: both of us had wildcard at 14 before the season started. So they went up a little, and then they went down a little, and then they went up a little.
All right.
They've regressed to the mean.
Exactly where nothing. Yeah, that's what I said. Wildcard is as they always are. Nothing is.
Man, what a wild card, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Aggregate 14. What do we got?
Gen G. Yeah, he was right. It's Gen
There you
G.
go. I'm a genius. I understand math.
Who's closest to aggregate so far, would you reckon?
What's that?
Who's closest to aggregate? Who's gone
Who's
it like
closest
most?
to the aggregate? Right now
Hard
it's
to say.
looking like you, but that's also because I see the Godfidence 20 and it's just sticking in my brain. So
Wow. Probably me or Dolphin, to be fair.
I think all of the teams that I have on my list are going to be on the aggregate top 20.
interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. So
that means that my list is the least interesting, but that's okay.
sorry. Last week was so
We've got-
weird because we had 18 where all of us matched, and then the last two none of us did. Like that was so weird. All right, let's jump to 13.
All right.
We've
Who's
got-
above wildcard?
We've got Gen G ranked 14 on the aggregate. They've got to come up in 2 more of our rankings. Let's see. We're still matching.
There we
Dolphin.
are. Okay.
That's what, 3 in a row now. Where
Yeah, 3 in a row.
all of us have Gen G. It's a little unfortunate that you guys have wildcard here because I was trying to transition this into a Gen G and be really smooth, but we were also just talking about wildcard. I'll finish up on Gen G first, though. So, you know what? Let's start with the bad news. Actually, Dolphin, go ahead.
Okay. It really does, in my opinion, I don't know. I don't know if suck is the right word, but it's just really, I don't see that this team could do anything at a LAN. And, they had that miracle run and it was like beautiful on the weekend. Rocket League was a lot of fun that weekend. Just like as a spectator, all of us getting to watch that was like a pretty big, online regionals can kind of get boring after a while. NRG is doing good and Ultimates is doing good, or Carmine Corp is winning again, or Vitality is doing good. Like all of it, it's just like kind of those same teams. So seeing a team,
Just mind how you say.
So we lost you there.
yeah, your audio is like really.
Oh, what is it? I can move my mic if it's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying it was like good Rocket League with an SSG fan in the cool. Saying all cinema.
So where was I? Oh, I don't know. How is this team still NA3 again? I don't really know. I agree that this is like kind of a point about North American stagnation, like that we're sending them again. I think I would rather be sending Gen G than at least last year when we were sending Luminosity, Cheese was a rookie. I wasn't a fan of OG at all. So I liked Gen G a little better than OG, but now I don't know. 9 Lives. I would have trusted if 9 Lives had done something this regional. I would have trusted them better at LAN. I think I would have said Space Station could have at least had a chance. And it's a little unfair to say that these team doesn't have a chance because they just won an NA regional. But I don't believe. I'm not a believer. I don't know. Is that crazy?
All right.
I don't think that's crazy. So anyway,
I don't think it's the craziest thing. With Gen G, the way I've viewed them this year is that they're probably floating around the same range as Space Station, right? Obviously, the conversations between those two is because that's what the final land spot came down to. But Gen G is going to be your, we beat the teams below us and can't beat the teams above us. And Space Station is like, we'll beat anyone, but we'll also lose to anyone. And at least in this online split, seems like the stability worked out for Gen G. But that being said, if it had just been stability, they're not there, and Space Station is there instead. The one thing with Gen G that does, at least give me a slight sliver of hope, you could say they weren't playing as well on the day, but, they did it. At the end of the day, they did it. They were able to take down Ultimates in a high-pressure series, Yes, you use the cope of you have the tiebreaker to fall back on, yada, yada, yada. They still actually came out and overperformed what anyone thought they would. And so, yeah, I'll do my little victory lap of being like, I was the only one to have them in the top 20, which is a little painful to do considering how this works out. But with the last event 2, I was never down on Gen G despite their placement because, they seem to have a matchup difference against 9 Lives. Other than that, they're just losing to the top teams. And, they get a path where they don't necessarily have to take down the top teams to give themselves a chance. They are able to take down Complexity, which is them swinging up for the first time. And then obviously in the finals against Ultimates, the finishing off of the Miracle Run. So if there's any solace in the fact that, North America is sending Gen G again, it's at least they've shown that they can take down a top team, which is truthfully this win over Ultimates is the highest quality win that this trio of Magic Bear, Reddles, Cheese has gotten since their formation. So maybe there's a little bit of hope. Maybe there's not. I trust them to still, Myth was mentioning he thinks they'll lose to Luminosity. I think they're good enough to beat the teams below.
I don't think they will. I just think they can.
You think they can?
I don't think they will.
I guess I just disagree that I
think
don't think they can.
Enough and Luminosity,
I don't think they can.
So I think Luminosity's ceiling is high enough and Gen G's floor is low enough because they're losing to players who didn't plan miss a regional in Sam.
Yeah, and I get that perspective, but I feel like
that's an insanely low floor, the insanely low bar to be losing to. And I think Luminosity, but they are. I'm almost willing to call them. I think they're the second best team, respective to the time that APAC have ever sent. Only losing out to 22, 23 Elevate.
Worlds Elevate.
Yeah. And I get what you're saying, Myth, about losing to the Sam Bubble players. And I do think that's a pretty bad indictment, especially considering that's the last time we saw them on LAN. But at least based on what I've seen online this split, their worst losses to Deleted, who was in the LAN conversation up until Friday of the last event. So I feel like there's a chance that floor problem has been fixed. So I know you say you don't predict them losing to Luminosity, but you can see it. I don't know if I see it, to be honest. I think they've probably fixed that. And I'm willing to be wrong, but little victory lap. I wasn't wrong last time necessarily. So
can I just say, all of you never put the dots after Gen G, between the N and the second G.
It's because
Gen G and everything.
It's because it's gonna mess with the columns. That's why. But anyways, we've talked about Gen G at some length. We've all got differing opinions on them. But let's talk about a team where we all have pretty close to the same opinion on. Myth, you want to touch on Wildcard first?
All right, so I alluded to the fact that there may be change coming for OCE. The reason I think this is because if Nonhead has left the team and rejoined, I think that's ever a really good sign. Because that's just I think that's him going, okay, I don't really want to play these guys anymore. Let me go try Fiber and Hunter. Then he's going, okay, this Fiber and Hunter thing is either just not working or it's taking too long to start working. Let's just go back to what I know. And just do fine. I don't think that's that doesn't tell me that he's ambitious. That doesn't scream just ambition for growth for the team. And I think that this is the biggest risks they've ever been in of dropping their 2-3 streak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Torsos could be gone after the split. Loki, like they get
Interesting.
like a Loki or a Hunter or a Ziz to replace him, or hell, even an import, or another import who isn't Ziz.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too with that.
Yeah.
It just Torsos' time,
So I'm not just.
in my opinion.
I mean,
I was looking at the numbers on for our snake draft, and I was like, wow, Torsos like is not really doing very much anywhere ever at any of the lands. So
That's brutal.
Demo merchant also.
That's true.
I mean,
he is pretty
the
high
man
on the
knows
demos.
how to win. The man knows how to win. I respect that, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like if you need him on the team, you should have him as a coach, because I just don't think it just doesn't excite me as a ton, you know.
Yeah, that's valid. Belleair, how are you
I think
feeling about
this
these guys?
aggregate 13th is going to be wildcard, by the way.
Yeah, it probably will be. I want to hear Belleair's thoughts on wildcard before we see that unveiled, though.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I think you see the +7. This is probably a course correction. You know, like when a car's about to crash and you like steer too aggressively in the other direction, and I think that's probably what I did here, having OCE too low. But look, if I'm gonna make a case for it, Banana Head is probably one of the best OCE players we've seen go to an international event in the open era since probably Fever, back when he kind of struck fear into some people.
Yep.
I'm a huge believer in his striking. And, Torsos is going to be the oldest player at this event by probably 2 decades, I think. But, he is consistent. You kind of know what you're going to get from him. We probably have a lot of like history playing into this, right? You kind of put them there because it's like, this is always kind of where they are. OCE again has been pretty turbulent, but I think this is a decent spot for wildcard.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
One thing interesting I want to say, now that we've all dropped Genji, is none of us think Genji is better than Complexity, even though they're seated higher.
Yeah, I'll talk about that pretty soon.
Me too.
But
maybe
oh my gosh, we're rematching
right
again.
now, actually.
Rematching again.
me and this guy just rewrote the same list.
We just copied each other's homework. We made it look too obvious.
But you guys do have a lot of.
Yeah,
We've got a Complexity here as well. Wow. Okay. Do we want to unveil 13 aggregate? We'd probably know it's wildcard, but let's just go ahead. Yeah. All right.
Hey.
I'll touch on Complexity first. I had a hard time with this. I think when I originally made these rankings, I had Genji ranked above Complexity. And then I went back through after getting a night's sleep and was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I want to do it. Believe me, I want to do it because I'm going to be a little bit harsh. Complexity, you guys are a little bit on fraud watch. Like, who have you beaten? And you kind of skated by because everyone expected you to be a top 3 team in North America. But your, group stages, you haven't had like a single decent opponent. I think the best win you have in there is Gen G, who you promptly lost to 4-1 in the playoffs.
Best result is a loss, taking Ultimate to 7.
Yeah, they have a seeding match win against Ultimates, which I think is another one where people were like, oh, okay, they can actually compete. They did take Ultimates to 7, so that was the part where they're like swinging up. But in terms of like actually winning,
did look good. Product was playing very well. That's it.
Yeah. In terms of winning, like, you guys haven't really actually beaten anyone, and the closest you played was Ultimates before they've finally figured it out. I feel like Ultimates were a team that kind of leveled up throughout the split and have been on a pretty solid upwards trajectory since their, disappointment in Event 1. But, I mean, I'm worried for you guys. Like, you lost to Gen G. That should have been... Everyone was expecting you to win that. You've beaten them multiple times earlier in the split. So... And like, you haven't really been all that tested. So they're welcome to prove me wrong, but Complexity is the team where it's like they're a North American 4 seed. I actually kind of see it. Like, I could see the arguments for Gen G to be above them, considering the wins, especially in the important moments that Gen G has pulled off. But because Complexity has kind of owned Gen G throughout the season, and it was just a one-off series for now, I'm still hesitant to jump Gen G above Complexity. Sure, they don't have the strength of, winnings, but they also don't have the losses to go with that. So, Myth, you want to touch on Complexity?
Yeah, this is a wet paper towel of a team, bro. This team just looks. It's just not it, bro. I was kind of sad. This is the last.
This guy
event.
hates North America.
He does.
Isn't that like the what do you say?
You just
This
hate North
guy hates
America.
North America.
Yeah, real. Why did I do a podcast with three Americans, bro? I should get some like. Actually, no, Lars is he's North American as well. Name drop. He offered to pay me. No, this team just looks like wet to me. Just nothing. It's just doing nothing, bro. What's going to say is this is the last time you're in RLCS. They're dropping their team after this. And
Oh,
I think
yeah.
just such a legendary org with so many great results, like the time they nearly beat FaZe, the time they nearly beat Vitality, the time they nearly beat Liquid, and the time they nearly beat Garmin Core.
The time they
Yeah,
nearly
it's
got
just
V1
sad.
Worlds.
And then, yeah, it's with a legacy, you know. It just makes me sad. That it's their final form because Diaz and Raceball just look so mid, and CRR just doesn't look like he looks the best on my team, but he's still also taking a step back. I mean, one thing I could see though, and I would love this, is if Raceball is gone and Dorito is in, not because it would make it better, because it would be so funny.
Yeah, I think if we do see that, you know, Dorito in with CRR again, it'd be wild. I feel like they're probably past that point in their career, but who the heck knows?
And that's what we all said after they kicked AJG, because like everyone knew kicking AJG was just making a move for the sake of making a move.
Yeah.
Because there's no Spanish speaker they could get, which would be better, except for like maybe Atomic.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just look. This team goes 2 and 3 at most.
All
Probably
right.
1 and 3.
All right. Dolphin, I know you've been higher on complexity for most of this season. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm sorry that you guys are so negative about them, but I actually like this team. You can say that they're on fraud watch, but I think saying they're on fraud watch is kind of just saying that North America is bad because they just haven't hit anyone anywhere in the bracket until they get to the team that they lose to, right? So,
Yeah, listen, I'll plead the fifth on that one.
I'm actually excited about this team. I like Raceball and CR as a duo. I'm excited to see Diaz as land debut. You know, he's been insane in ones for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. So you guys think they won't be top 8, but I think that they have a better chance than Genji and Wildcard, which are two other teams that are probably in that 2 and 3 range. Maybe throw Secret in there as well, right?
Because they haven't like shown. I think that the way I see it, right, I have like kind of distinct tiers in my mind. I have 6 teams that I think absolutely should make it, and I have like 4 teams that are fighting for those final 2 spots. Complexity is the best team that's in the third tier. I think they don't really make it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. This is I think that they're better than Genji.
All right.
You seem unsure about that, but I would take them if I was a betting man. You place me these two in a best of 7 again, and I say I'll take complexity.
All right, I can see that perspective as well. And I admit there's probably a bit of hopium behind my faith in Genji, and like saying they're on fraud watch doesn't mean they are frauds yet. Like they still have gotten done everything they need to get done, but it's like the warning signs are there. Like it wouldn't surprise me if they fall apart here. So, yeah.
Right. They're probably going to lose round 1 to David Claus, I think.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they could go 1 and 3. It's possible. So, you know, who knows really? But I'm excited for the LAN. I'm ready to see them. So.
Yeah. All right.
Belleair, you have DK under. I'm guessing you have NIP somewhere. You have DK under NIP.
Yeah.
I guess you'll have to wait and find out.
Let's go ahead and talk about Miracle Run Part 2.
Do you guys have DK above NIP?
I'm not spoiling that yet. We'll get there.
Okay.
You want to talk about the Miracle Run?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly, it was so impressive when it happened, and I feel like it's weird where typically we're prisoners of the moment, and it's like, this is the most unbelievable. This result honestly seems more impressive as time has gone on, where I look back at it and I'm like, man, I mean, they just ran over everybody. Europe's the strongest region. To do what they did to Carmine Core is just, it's preposterous. I can't believe that they did it in the fashion they did. At the same time, I'm not trying to completely overreact. This is one of those teams where it's like when you get like a team that's been injured all season in the NBA, and then they're like an A seed, and you're like, oh man, that team is so good though, even though they're so low ranked. Like GK, I could see them making a top 4 if they're just like totally like hitting on everything. At the same time, this team basically seemed like they had no chance to make the major before Open 3. So it's kind of like they were awful until they were the best. So I've kind of just sandwiched them here in the middle. I could see them totally over or underperforming at Birmingham.
All right. No. Do we want to unveil
I guess,
I
aggregate
think
12?
this must be complexity.
Probably is going to be because we got them all here. Belleair's the only one who hasn't appeared them. Yeah. So complexity at 12 matching the 3 of us. If we could unveil 11 as well. Sorry, I'm not controlling it because my computer is dying. So I'll probably edit most of that part out of the official thing.
Get the
but-
group chat. We already have some
Ooh,
support.
ninjas at 11.
Whoa,
Ooh,
okay.
ouch.
Okay, and then 2 appearances of Geek8. Dolphin, we have been matching since 15.
Yeah.
What on earth?
I think we might be matching on the next one too. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I think the one after the next one we will split.
Okay.
I think I have some of my own thoughts in there, but otherwise.
Do you want to touch on Geek8 first then?
Sure. If we're talking Gen GK, if you're 2 sides of one coin with the miracle runs, GK did it in EU and they swept 4-0 against Carmine Corp.
Yeah.
You know, I would if Gen G had swept NRG in the finals, I would have maybe bumped them over complexity, but beating Ultimates in a game 7 isn't as convincing for me. But I'm looking at GK. We can just not look at Redemption. That doesn't really matter. So we're really looking at that Carmine Corp series as the important one. Dignitas, I don't really know what to think about that.
Yeah.
But that Carmine Corp series is like, that's your crown jewel. This is what you're presenting when you have to prove some evidence of your skill as a team. You say, hey, look, we are doing this. I don't know. I think 11 is fair. I think it seems maybe some people in here have GK versus NIP. Who's higher? I have NIP higher.
No.
I don't know if that's unpopular or not, but I don't know. We'll see how they do. They are close to top 8.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll touch on GK. These guys, I said that I like went back. I did the rankings and then I went back after sleeping for a night and switched a few things up. One of those being complexity and Gen G. The other one was I had GK up at EU3 initially. And I feel like, you know, as Belleair was mentioning, you know, we're sometimes prisoners of the moment, don't want to overreact. It's like, after like sleeping on it a bit, I felt like I overreacted just a little bit. And like, even so, like I had to do these rankings after the North American event. I had already waited a week, but it was like, oh, GK or EU3. But it's like, they've done it once. And I want to put like all due respect to doing it once. Like that was phenomenal. You took down Carmine Corp. They were going 27-0 on the season. They were going to be undefeated. Felt like a foregone conclusion. It's like, oh, you guys are here, but this is where it ends, right? And then for some reason, it didn't end. But I feel like we have seen this, and maybe I'm holding it against the players a little bit too much. I feel like we've seen this with Archie and Joyo when it came to Worlds, and they made top 6 with Oxygen, where they had no life in them. They were dead. Everyone knew it was over, and it's like, there's a 0% chance that you guys do anything. You're not even invited to the World Championship, and suddenly they get invited. They play a couple weeks at most, and then they just screw around and get top 6, right? This run feels a lot similar to that. Obviously, with a bit better results, taking down both Dignitas and Carmine Corp in sweeps. But it's like, this feels like they knew they were done. They knew it was over after event 2, where they lose to 100%. Like, you can hear them talking on First Touch. They weren't even like scrimming the week before the event, and they just kind of come in. It's like, we're just going to instant challenge every ball and win. And that's exactly what they did. Is that repeatable now that it has become real again? And I think the difference with looking at the 2 miracle runs, looking at Gen G, looking at Geek8, it's like, I feel like Gen G always thought it was real. They always thought they could do something, or at least get good enough results. Maybe not win the entire thing, but they always thought it was real. I don't know if these guys ever thought it was real. I think these guys were, you know, basically checked out and let's just go have fun with it and win it. And now that they're at the major and the season is back on the line, I feel like they're going to have that regression where it's like, oh, it's become real. So I don't think they're going to be as bad as we saw in Event 1 and 2 because I do think they have a little bit figured out, but I don't think they're going to be taking down the likes of Carmine Core, taking down the likes of Dignitas. And that's why I've got them ranked at EU5. But Myth has a little bit of a different opinion, dropping Ninjas Pajamas lower than Geek, presumably. Myth, what are you thinking?
All right. Okay. So I initially did have NIP over Geek, but then I had a conversation in I don't remember where it was. I remember TY Swoogles or TY was part of it. So shout out TY. He's on shift on Reddit. He's
This guy
gets
loves
around.
talking about random
And I
guys.
remember what?
You're good. You're good. Keep going.
And I'm just thinking, right? So Itachi. No, here's the thing about Itachi. We all know, like, okay, maybe not. We all know, but I think it always falls off around Worlds, right? But normally he's pretty good during the main season, but he just falls off around Worlds. This is the first time where he just looked really unconvincing me. Like he looked good regional 1, but then regional 2 and 3, I think he's kind of the clear worst on the team. I think right now I have Oski 1, Nas 2, Itachi 3. I don't think they're going to make a change because I don't really think there's anyone to grab unless they could get. Do you only consider it? PC consider Seiko and how with how the off season went, I doubt they're going to go down that avenue. So I was talking right, and I just thought, okay, NIP, what have you really done for me? You've beaten Vitality once. Vitality have it's no secret. Vitality have looked shaky at points. You beat Gentlemates, which how the rest of us split loose. That's like beating M80 last season in a quarterfinal, bro. I mean, it's not that impressive. Yeah, I just think, what have you really done for me? And Geek has won a regional. Geek have just done really well. And I just don't. Geek just showed me more than NIP has. That's just how it puts it.
All right. All right. It feels like you're almost looking at Ninjas Pajamas similarly to how I'm viewing Complexity in the terms of, like, as you said, what have you done? Right? Where, Ninjas Pajamas, they've beaten all the teams that they're expected to beat. Some of those that we saw as signature wins aren't necessarily as signature as we might have thought. And so that's why you've got them lower than Geek. But Belleair, as I mentioned, the Ninjas Pajamas Complexity, this transition didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but you want to talk to us about Complexity.
Yeah, I mean, everything you guys said about Complexity is valid. They have a plus win percentage though against every team that isn't NRG or Gen G, so they have kind of like handled business. The thing that's kind of scary about them though is they're not really like they're not humming on the offensive end in the same way that I would expect from a top team. Like they actually have a pretty close goal differential and shot differential against everybody, like even a team like almost nuts, like this team that it's like, oh, I don't even know who's on that roster. They actually like play them pretty close in shot and goal differentials. So I do worry about them getting to a land stage where we typically see teams' offenses regress a little bit. It's like I hope that they can score at a meaningful clip. But I guess if I'm gonna be a devil's advocate against my own point, I do think that's kind of the style that Complexity is playing, where it's a lot of like midfield back and forth, big challenges up, aerials, and they're just trying to catch teams like once or twice to get their wins. But I don't know, that low scoring style always makes me really nervous. So I do think they're really good. I think they deserve to be the third best in North America, but I totally understand what y'all said about, where they kind of find themselves in the fabric of this top 20.
Mm-hmm. All right. We want to touch on the aggregate number 11 right before we hop into the top 10.
I think this must be Geek. Surely.
It probably is, yeah. A +6 overall. Does Gen G technically move up higher because they're coming from unranked then?
Yeah, Gen G is +7, technically.
Okay, I was trying to figure out who to put in the thumbnail because I wanted to put the highest mover in the thumbnail. Like after the first EU event, I was like, well, Geek has to be in this thumbnail. And then Gen G goes and does the same thing. So I'm like, well, who do I put in the thumbnail? But here we are. Entering our top 10. I know we're like an hour 30 into this, so hopefully a little bit further than the halfway point. I assume we took some time with honorable mentions and fixing the PC, but let's jump into number 10.
Sure.
Quick slip. Pyro in the group chat saying that he's gonna have to be paid to watch just how long it's going on.
Sorry, we're
Thank
giving
for
you
support,
Pyro. We're giving you multiple shout outs. So
beautiful.
oh, that's my bad, guys. That's on me.
I'm running hours to do this. Excuse me.
So
also, triple secret.
Yeah. Belleair's got them moving the most. Belleair, you want to talk about them first?
Yeah, I mean, if you could buy decals for individual players, I think Swift would be one of the first decals I'd buy. Super fun to watch. I would probably have them higher if I like KV1 has kind of been there and done that. He's kind of been a fixture at these LAN events for South America. He's only 18, by the way. Maybe I'm the only person who's surprised by that.
Yeah.
I just assumed he'd be
To make all three. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I thought he'd be like 23. Like he's just been around forever. But he's only 18, and Mata's one of those players who like I really liked him when he was on the rosters with the Stramic, but then I've kind of struggled when I watch film of him where he's just kind of slow. It's just not my style. So I think this is a battle between me understanding their results and appreciating it, while also kind of struggling with the way that this team is comprised. But they played Furia close at the beginning, and then it's kind of got worse from there. I don't know. I feel like 10's probably where Secret should be.
All right. Dolphin, you go ahead.
To counter that, Secret actually played Furia, I think their closest ever in this most recent semifinal. That's 7.
Really?
True.
I didn't get to watch that series. I really wish I would have, but I've been busy with, engineering school, so a lot of things to do other than watching Rocket League, which it's all right. My opinion of Secret is basically they're kind of like better wild card, not in actually anything about the players, but in the way that I looked at them 2 months ago versus now. At the beginning of the season, I was like, yeah, so they're probably going to be pretty clear EU2, SAM2 behind Furia, right? And they've basically just done that. They can't beat Furia when it's important. They can't, beat Furia in a best of 7, but otherwise they're rolling through most of their people. They lost to Reds in groups, but I don't really think that is very important. One single loss, like I said for Gentlemates a while ago, one loss isn't something that I'm gonna start ringing any alarm bells.
Yeah.
Another team sitting there like GK, I think those two are close. Could be in top 8, but not sure, and more than likely out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's most of everything that's interesting. Swift, like Belleair says, is definitely their rising star. He's looked very good, and could be next up to be poached. Swift, it's Swift or it's Suko, are the two young Sam players that we're looking at as if Fury is unhappy, who are they gonna start looking towards? So
yeah,
I'm ready to see his LAN debut. I think we're gonna be impressed.
Yeah, I'm very much excited to see Swift. I'll talk about Secret a little bit in the future, but I know Myth has been very high on the Astromic Scouting Academy, mentioning that 5.5. Yep. Little bit of
Grafino is a bit of a weird one. It sort of counts, sort of doesn't. But everyone on this team was scouted by Astromic. Lost and Jan both scouted by Astromic. I will say this: I do think that this is probably the first time Sam have sent their 6 best players in 2 teams. I think it's fair to say that.
I actually see that. Yeah,
that's just my opinion. One person I want to give a main shout out is Swift would have given his flowers, Cave1 would have given his. Motta, thank you, my boy Motta. we all know Motta, right? Like 22, 23, Spring Major Motta. He was a beast, bro. He's got that insane shot against complexity. Just in general, he was so good against Furia. Really good. I don't remember anything out of that Optic series, but hey, I'll call him good. I need to push an agenda here. 2024 Motta was disappointing, right? As in there were genuine conversations saying that he should be gone instead of Brad, but he seems to be back. Like Regional 1, he was so good. Regional 2, not as good. But I do think he was the best on the team. Regional 3, based on what I remember. I don't rate 1 very highly, but I think he also played well in the 1 circuit, of course. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very glad that Motta is back, and I think this team can top 8. They're one of the I referenced that I think there's like 4 teams that can make top 8, along with the 6 I think should be making top 8. They're and in those 4 I kind of have 2. I know I'm tearing teams with here. I've kind of got a 2 and 2 block of 2 teams I think are more likely to make their top 8. They're not in it currently, but I really think they could be. I think they could pop off.
All right. Yep.
Can I ask you?
Go for it.
Your preseason, you had Fury and Secret neck and neck. 8th and 9th, I think, like super close. But Fury has definitely separated themselves. Like, how do you feel about those two currently in relation to each other?
I was gonna touch on this
More
because
for
on the
Fury
one hand,
later?
I feel like for the existence of this Furia team since the start of 2024 season, this is probably the best team on paper that's ever been assembled to go against them, if that makes sense. Maybe you say split 1 complexity, or maybe split 2 complexity, because I mean Diaz was pretty good split 1 2024.
Mhm.
Of course, hasn't been able to replicate that really. I think this is probably has to be up there in terms of like the best team assembled to go against them, and the fact that Fury are three-peated. I'm really having a hard time deciding whether or not like it's just Secret being worse than I thought they would be, or Fury going up, because if you know me, you don't know I don't really rate the idea of teams sticking, but Fury have had the best split with their with the existence of their closest ever competition. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to touch it on a bit more with Fury though, so because I want to say a bit of that section.
Yeah. I know I'll definitely be touching on that aspect as well. It's a great question, Dolphin. I got to talk about ninjas in pajamas real quickly here because, yeah, I've got him at 10, just above Geek. It's really unfortunate that they got Miracle Run on. I still think, like, on most given days, in most forms, you pick ninjas over Geek. There was a very notable sweep. Sure, it's the first event of the split, but it looked very one-sided when these two actually matched up against each other. Obviously, there's going to be all the comparisons with the Miracle Runs, Ninjas in Pajamas, and Space Station being the 2 teams that just barely lost out. I think it's, Space Station making a change. That's mostly off the pitch stuff from the looks of it. But Ninjas, I mean, as long as there's not off the pitch stuff, there's no reason to not run this back. Like, if it takes that kind of miracle to stop you from making land, you focus on figuring out how to beat Dignitas, figuring out how to maybe take down Vitality. You already figured out how to beat Geek, at least in the form that we think they're going to show more likely than not. So, yeah, you definitely run this back. And, Myth, you were mentioning being a little bit worried about Itachi in the last event. Like, I get that, but it's also one event, so still not panic button time for them
There's
yet.
lost 2 events, so
Okay. I'm still not panicked about them. They're at 10.
Yeah, I get.
But, yeah.
If he bounces back, I wouldn't be surprised. So I mean, I don't think he's going to go back to being like top 5 like he was at points last season. But as long as he gets back on like where he should be, like just a top 10 European player, then he should be good.
Yeah. All right. This is the first aggregate that I'm actually like not sure where we're going to end up. I could see it being one of 2 things. It might end up being a tie when we look at the actual numbers.
I think it's Secret.
I think it'll be Secret too. But anyway, we all had
okay, it's Ninjas.
We all had 9 lives at 19, and it wasn't them. So who knows?
Right. Sure.
Yep. I think they're going to end up being close. If we unveil 9 really quickly as well.
Sure. We
I'll
must
continue.
be seeing more ninjas here, I think.
We'll be seeing more ninjas. I'll talk about my number 9 first.
Oh, there you go.
Very quickly. Because, yeah, I've got Team Secret here as well. Dolphin asked if it was more Furia overperforming or Secret underperforming. I think the fact that Secret has played them so close, like, I would have loved for them to take more series, but I think it's more of an indictment on how good Furia might be rather than, if Secret's not at the level that Myth thought they were originally. I got them moving up 3. It's a little weird having them moving up 3 considering this is the first time that they actually lost to a team other than Furia. But I guess I've just got a lot of confidence in the fact that they still made that semifinal much more competitive. Took Furia to 7, and then Furia went on to, there was that brief moment where it's like, oh, could Godfidence pull off a miracle run and then upset Furia and then face Secret in tiebreaker? And it's like Furia shut that down very quickly for Secret. But I do think it's, these two teams are head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. And yeah, I'm liking the Secret squad. I wonder if they can make it top 8. I don't want to get too much into like correlations, causation, but I'm thinking back to the last time that a team three-peated in South America. It was actually the club who proceeded to go 1-3 in Rotterdam, while Team Secret made top 4. So stranger things have happened. I'm not calling the top 4 finish from these guys, but they do feel like a squad that has the potential where it's like, it wouldn't shock me as much as it did then. So, we were talking about
top 4 was definitely easier back then, though.
It was, especially in that split.
You got lucky to drag into version 1 there, as opposed to nowadays you have to probably go through, like Twisted Minds or Ultimates, and then like probably Dignitas, or
it'd be a challenge. And there's
something like you're gonna have to do 2 series instead of 1 hard
exactly.
one.
That's another thing.
So top 4, I don't see
as well. But
any chance.
Yeah, maybe that's just, and I'll get to this later, maybe that's just how highly I view the team that they're really losing to.
Sure.
Belleair, you want to touch on Ninjas?
Yeah, what a bummer split, huh?
Yeah, stuff.
But, they didn't control their own destiny. Like, this is kind of what you get. We talked about Itachi. Honestly, I've just I think we all just assumed that you, like, pass a certain threshold, and it's like, that dude's awesome. I still, like, the jury's out for me on Nas. I really like the talent, but I've been watching a lot of European replays, and I feel like I pretty consistently like watch. And if I was just doing a tally, there's a lot of times where I'm like, that's not a good play from Nas. That's not a good play. So I think I'm just kind of still wavering on him a little bit. But I mean, statistically, this team's crazy. Plus 175 shot differential. They've been lighting up everybody who isn't Carmine Core. 7-1 game differential against GK, and that's kind of that team that we have them against. They've dominated them, and their only losses are to the other 3 LAN teams. They've only lost to Dignitas, Carmine, Vitality. So this team's awesome against the teams that they're not awesome against, and they're just setting the world on fire against all the other teams. So that's where I put them.
All right.
If I could say something, I mean, I'm probably less biased because Battery Hotness is M80 video. Because originally on M80, I thought NAS was the problem, but like looking back, it was AJ. Well, not really AJ, but this isn't about them. But I think NAS is kind of like closer to Oski than he is to Itachi. Skill-wise, because wait, would you guys? Okay, I think can we all consent? Do we all agree that Oski is NIP's best player?
At this current form, I probably would agree, but historically, it's tough.
Yeah, facing game brand versus what Itachi has done all this stuff at lands, and I'm looking at Oski. He did good in 2 regionals. Is kind of how.
Oh, can I just say, Itachi, with Itachi not making this land, he held the longest land streak. It's now broken. It's currently a 2-way tie for who currently holds the longest land streak. Cookie to whoever gets it right.
If I were going into a LAN tomorrow, I think I still am choosing Itachi as my first piece. But if we're thinking like team building going forward, I'm going to pick Oski.
Ooh, I like that answer. In terms of Myth's question, in terms of who has the longest land streak, I know Exotic is one of them.
Oh, sorry, I missed the question.
Of course, yes.
I didn't mean to talk over.
No, you're good.
Is one of them.
Okay.
And then it'd be someone who attended Worlds but not London, and then has attended every single one since.
Atomic?
No, Atomic was in London. They missed the Boston Major.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Can you give us the region?
Yeah, that would help.
EU, but that's not as helpful as you think it is.
It's more helpful than trying to guess everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vatera, but obviously it's not. He's
It's
that
not-
most recent.
Yeah, it's not Oski,
Let-
Atao,
Not Archie.
Archie. Joyo's missed multiple.
Yep.
Go ahead, swing for it.
You want me to say who it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we give up.
It's Jack. Apparently Jack.
Oh,
Wow.
he did miss London, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh,
because he then moved to
yes.
Gen G.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, it makes it
And that's
complicated
what I said
when
it
he
wouldn't be
left
very
and he came
helpful
back.
to say.
Okay. Yeah. mhm.
That's why I said it wouldn't be very helpful to know.
Nah,
region.
it's good. But
I'd give it away.
all right. We were talking about Ninja Pajamas. Dolphin hasn't quite touched on them yet. If you want to go.
Oh, sure. I don't know. They're down a little. We had them, I was pretty sure of them as EU3. I was like, yeah, they're definitely below Vitality, but above Dignitas. Even after that Regional 2 lost to Dignitas, I still said that's probably not going to happen again. But then it did happen again, so now I've jumped Dignitas to number 3, even though I don't know. I'm looking at those two teams on paper and I'm saying I'm still sticking to NIP. But if you ask me who's going to play better tomorrow, NIP versus Dignitas, I would take Dignitas now that they have 2 in a row over them. I still think that they're better than Geeke because I'm more of a fan of, more consistent results rather than a single I jump and then, some more questionable losses to lower teams. Sucks that they're missing out. I think it was Oski's birthday that they actually
That's
lost.
so brutal. Yeah.
So that really hurts. That would
That is real.
ruin my entire
Dude,
year.
I mean,
if I was him.
I knew how I felt after watching, not even a team I'm playing for, but a fan of a team, watching the same thing happen to them. Like, I cannot imagine being the person who that happens to on my board. Like, that's got to be so brutal. So,
Yeah.
Oh, buff is just a real thing, though. It's not a buff, it's a
Yeah.
nerf.
yep. But
Like 22-23, the first grand final Vatera missed of all season. Well, the
oh,
grand
was that
final
his?
was on
It was
birth-
his birthday weekend, wasn't it? Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Myth, you want to touch on the Miracle Run one last time for us?
All right. I think noticeably it was them peaking, but I also think it's also somewhat going to be an improvement. I don't think it's going to be a full just okay. Yeah, if they just peak, they'll be back to their regional 1 and 2 selves for the major or like going forward. I think they'll be better than that. I think it's probably combination of them peaking and them figuring something out. Like that will be permanent going forward. Because I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't think they're going to just smash everyone. Obviously, that would be hype. I would be down for it, but yeah, I just think it is just they're going to be better than Regional 1 and 2, not consistently as good as Regional 3. That's kind of all I have to say on them. That hasn't been said already.
All right. Sounds good.
So you have the biggest gap between Geeke and Gen G, despite them kind of both being
Interesting.
the
Okay, well,
Miracle
one,
Run teams. What makes
Geeke
you,
did it.
besides
Okay,
they
Geeke
did
is
it in
the one that-
EU?
Okay, that's kind of my main point. Okay, one, he was just better.
Sure.
2, what Geeke did is more impressive, even if you ignore the region thing. 3, see, just historically, the players on Geeke are just better than the players on Gen G. And 4, Geeke have never lost to. Actually, no, England lost to South America. Never mind. South Africa. Never mind.
Point out the window. No. But yeah. Yep. I do see what you're saying. It's like we all have Geeke rated higher than Gen G. That does not surprise me in the slightest. Just looking at the results, it's a game 7 against NA2 instead of a 4-0 sweep over, what we all had as the best team in the world. Quite possibly might all of us still have them as the best team in the world. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and unveil aggregate number 9. I have a feeling we're
This
landing
is for
secret.
sure Team Secret.
It's gotta be Team Secret. Yep, up 2 from last week. And then if
which
we
was
get
more of, I think, more of a gap just opening from better teams rather than Team Secret actually doing anything to move
I
up.
honestly agree with that. Yeah, having them be the highest mover is I would agree with that as well. If we could also unveil number 8.
I think we might get something interesting happening here. Ooh,
Two
okay.
Dignitas, two
Oh,
Ultimates.
Okay.
All right, where do we want to start?
How about
Your
Dolphin
call.
with Dig? Because he's got the biggest movement here with everyone.
I like that. I like that.
Sure. I was flip flopping Dig versus Nip. I was, in my mind, I'm like, Ninjas is a better team than Dignitas, but when you've lost twice, you've convinced me. So Dignitas, good job. I'm still not exactly quite sure how to feel about that 4-0 from DK again with Carmine. Like, DK was such an anomaly. It's really weird to
Yeah.
think about what really was going on there. But they did a top 4 again, so good job. And I don't know. This is Stizzy's land debut for RLCS, so I think we'll see something big from him again. We have a lot of, I would describe as like single player, like one player on each team that's debuting, and it's gonna be a good time
Yeah.
from them. Like they're all like stars. I think like Swift, Diaz, Stizzy. I think that's like those are pretty solid land debuts.
Mhm.
Those all have pretty high potential for like us to
Spain got a lot of
see,
players this round.
for them to prove themselves like as something big. I think Dignitas, I don't know, top 6 maybe, top 8 probably. If I'm looking at them in a top, like in a 2-2 Swiss match against Team Secret, I probably take Dignitas, but Team Secret is probably close.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take it. I feel like there's a solid chance we might checkerboard this, where all of us might have Ultimates and Dignitas 7-8. Wouldn't shock me.
I do not have Ultimate 7th.
All right, never mind.
You know.
Oh, I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Because he's the first killer fan.
But
No,
no,
let's just say,
Dignitas.
Dolphin and Martin, your lists are still so close.
They're
The
very
only
close.
difference so far since 15 is that NIP and Secret are swapped for you guys.
Yep. But yeah, Dignitas, you were mentioning that Geekay is an anomaly. I mean, it's such an anomaly that before the Geekay beat Carmine Core, people were like saying, did Dignitas throw this for the seeding? Like, there was that question about it where it's like, no, A, no, they didn't, right? But B, yeah, it was just such a weird run that you don't ever know how to like rank them because of it. I had them, I was the only one to, I guess, overreact, maybe, if you will, to Event 2, and I had them ranked above Ninjas and Pajamas. I was pretty happy with how that one ended up turning out in the meanwhile, with Dignitas taking that win again. But, yeah, last event they beat Vitality. This event they didn't, and instead lost to Geekay. So they've also been, their complexity, but with the playoff results in terms of like the bracket that we keep seeing in groups, they keep getting a free group to the top 6, taking advantage of that. But again, have the series to back it up. I don't really know how to deal with their Geekay loss. I don't think it drops them too low. But I mean, I'll go ahead and mention Ultimates because we've seen them twice now on other people's lists as well. If I'm looking at the head-to-head between Dignitas and Ultimates, Dignitas lost to an opponent they shouldn't have last weekend, and Ultimates beat an opponent they shouldn't have last weekend as well. So that's kind of the logic for why I've got Dignitas dropping 1 spot this week. But speaking of Ultimates, let's go ahead. Myth, you got them staying at 0, no movement from last week. What are you thinking on them?
All right. On the one hand, you beat. Let's not kid ourselves, a really weak-looking NRG. You beat a really weak-looking SSG and NRG. It's weird, man, because I feel like they're playing the same way Genji did last season, when it's kind of just a figured out, washed out style. I'm not saying we're going to lose to Chiefs or get farmed by OC like they did at Worlds. I think we're just playing the same style, just with the play style changes. LJ brings compared to Jack. I still think the best thing this would be to do is first to sit down, read the Vatira textbook, and just implement it. But that doesn't seem to be happening. They seem just dependent on just how well Chronic feels like playing. Not even that, it's just if Chronic needs to play well for his team to do well. And I just don't think they're not putting him in a situation where you can get the best out of what Chronic can do.
Mm-hmm.
But they are what they are. Just losing to Genji in the finals, bro. That's just. But I was willing to move them over Dig, who spoilers I have pretty soon. But if I just lose to Genji in the finals, Genji I just really don't rate. You know,
Mhm.
it just makes me down. Well, I'm gonna quickly just mute and turn the light on in here. It's getting quite stuck.
All right, Belleair, you go ahead, take over.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Miss Point on Chronic, not really put in a place to be successful. And I feel like that grand finals was a good encapsulation of my thoughts on them overall, where they have the talent to win a major, but the makeup of the team just leaves me with doubts. I don't think that any of these players, all of them individually, awesome. As a trio, it does not move me, does not inspire confidence. I don't know who the leader of this team is. I think them falling to the pressure of that grand finals is pretty showing of what I anticipate we'll see from them at Birmingham. Could beat anybody here, but if the lights are bright, I have my doubts.
Mm-hmm. All right. If we want to unveil the aggregate, because I feel like that'll kind of lead into potentially.
Again, back.
I think
Yeah,
this is going to be.
I think it's gonna be tied between.
This is going to be Dig for sure.
I think it's gonna be Dig. Because Dolphin doesn't have.
That's still up 4. Well, I guess they did beat Ninjas the twice time. I have them moving down, I guess. I might be the only one with them moving down, but that's probably more for me reacting a bit sooner. If you want to go ahead and unveil 7, Myth, I'll probably give you the floor first because I know you're talking about Dignitas. Dolphin and I already touched on them. What are your thoughts?
Oh, okay. We got another triple.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wait a minute.
All right, Myth, why do you have Dignitas lower than Twisted Minds?
Wait. Whoa. I didn't know I was talking about a podcast such a non-ball knowers. What is this? What is this?
I feel like the ball knowers seem to be like pretty in tune on this one. All right.
What are we doing?
3 knowers and 1 not knowers. That's what it looks like to me.
What are we doing, guys? Come on.
All right.
Come on.
I'm shocked that you think 7th is like some
kind of disrespectful, like low place.
Yeah, they're the Mina too.
Here's the thing that Myth has been saying all for the last like 3 weeks from what I've seen is that he has a very like solid top 6. And then beyond that top 6, he's like, these teams could make top 8, but I don't know if I see it. And so obviously, like the 3 of us have minds at 7. Myth thinks they're a lock for top 6. But do you want to talk, Myth, why you don't think Dignitas is a lock for top 6 or for top 8 in comparison to, maybe Twisted Minds, which you'll get to later?
My thoughts on Dig are just you have Yoris in a Swiss, but you also have Yori. But if you do well in that Swiss, you are burdened with Yoris in the playoffs. Okay, no, that's unfair though. To be honest,
you broke that curse.
Dig just shout out Stizzy for improving so drastically from split 1. So regional 1 rather. I just losing to GK, like at the time I was thinking, whoa, but considering what they went on to do, their regional 2 and regional 3 are kind of just the same to me. Additionally, regional 2 are very better. I don't see them the same as Ultimates. I'll tell you right now, when I say that I have a top 6, and those 4 behind them, I think before I have at 10, Dig, Ultimates, GK, and Secret are the 4 teams.
Yeah.
Can make it, and that's also the order I'd have them in terms of likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
So Dig is the one I have most confidence in making top 8, then Ultimates and GK and Secret. Yeah, that's just my thoughts really. They are what they are. I don't really know. That's a pretty bad analysis, but that's just how I'd like to put them really.
All right.
So I have a question for you. You had Twisted Minds 7th last post Open 2, and they didn't win. So how are they up?
I'll be honest, it's a shift already lobbying for those guys love me that I'm getting killed. I don't know, right? No. Being seriously, I watched the gameplay a bit more, and I've watched more of the gameplay. I just like what I see. Uh, I was kind of low on Falcons, a little low going in because I thought, as a reference, I don't really like teams sticking. I feel like there's just a natural decline that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last season. I don't think they're going to make another major finals, for example.
Mhm.
But Twisted Minds are like a new team, and I feel like it kind of took them a second to get in their flow. And honestly, I did not watch. Okay, no, I think the better way of putting it is I messed this up. The better way of putting it is, for the regional two was more Falcons playing bad than it was Twisted Minds playing well, especially with Rise playing from Europe. That's just kind of a big whoa to me. Kind of, why are you losing to a player on 130 ping?
Mhm.
Like, as a professional, you probably shouldn't be doing that. But now, I've just watched them more, and I just kind of, even though they lost, I think it was a pretty close series. Like, even if it wasn't massively close, like it was a game 5 or 6, I believe. I don't remember. It was a close series. Like, every game was close. And I just like what I see. So yeah,
All right.
MENA is just historically the third strongest region. At least at the moment, I think it's pretty under. It's not very controversial to say it is the third strongest region, at least in terms of top teams. So yeah, just I thought that's
Yeah.
just my thoughts on. Oh, I just spoiled all my Twisted Minds thoughts about actually.
No, you're good. You're
I
good.
think Twisted Minds.
We have a guess that they're at 6. We'll of course get to that if in the next rankings when we unveil them. But
Based on this
Oh,
reaction, I think
that's
he's
just
going to
how-
have him second. He's like,
But-
what? Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'll
It
go
would be
ahead.
really funny if they were 6th, I think.
All that for
That would be. But no, I see what he's saying about the bar.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like we've already mentioned a couple times, just Myth does not like North America, and I think part of that is playing into Ultimates being low here.
No,
as well.
I'm fine with North America. I just think it's a pretty weak. I just think North America's really weak right now. It can be good. It's
Okay,
just-
yeah, that's what I meant when I say that you don't like North America at this point. It's not like I just hate the region. It's just you don't respect the teams coming out of there. And like truthfully, based on what we saw last season, I definitely get the hesitancy. For me, Twisted Minds, I have them moving down one, but that's really just a victim of circumstance. I just have a team that moves above them based on pulling off a more impressive result on the weekend. But yeah, as you were mentioning, like this is not a lock for top 8 for me because we haven't seen much from Atomic on land. He made that land with G1, or actually he's made 2 with G1 technically. The first one beating FaZe, then going out in groups because tiebreakers are weird. And then the second one losing to Elevate and going out in the Swiss wildcard 2 and 3.
He was
So-
overperformed about World Championship there.
I mean, they beat
They beat
Oxygen,
Oxygen.
but they lost to Elevate.
The
as
B
well.
Oxford, which they weren't expected to do it, played Moist pretty close. And now looking back, Moist weren't very good that event, but still they weren't. I think they overperformed
Yeah,
slightly.
I guess they also
a
like
lot of people said that Elevate match was a toss up, and it was decently close.
yeah they also like weren't expecting themselves to be there. Like they got the text or whatever, and they're like, wait, we qualify for Worlds? They were already talking about splitting up. That's a discussion for a year and a half ago, really though. In terms of Minds though, like there's hesitancy with Atomic, but other than that, like they have every reason to expect themselves to be making top 8 and potentially pushing for that top 6. I just don't think they're a lock because of that. Dolphin asked why Myth has them or has Minds moving up theoretically, and technically you've got them +1 as well. What are you thinking?
I think that was just Nip moving down.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the
was
same
nothing
boat
else
with
that really
why I've got
happened.
them moving down. So,
Yeah.
Yep. Belleair, you got any extra thoughts on Twisted Minds other than what we've discussed?
Yeah, I mean, what a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Every matchup is a track meet. They're above 10 shots per game, and they're allowing over 7 shots per game. So it's just like, hold on to your seat, buckle up whenever they're on the pitch. I thought Atomic was one of the best strikers Europe has had over the last couple of seasons. So for him to go over and join Nalpo and then Rise, probably one of the better facilitators in the game, similar to like how I view Itachi. Like if you put players next to Rise, he's going to elevate them offensively. This team is just like a supercharged engine. This is like those drag race cars where it's just like you're not going to drive it on the street. Like if you get them straight on a path for 100 yards, they're just going to blitz past you. So yeah, Twisted Minds are exciting for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead.
I have a little bit about Twisted Minds.
Yeah.
I think most of us had Twisted Minds around 10th preseason, and now we're sitting them 7th, 6th, 5th-ish. So Twisted Minds is definitely up, and they're closer to Falcons because I think Falcons has generally moved downwards since they didn't three-peat for the first time ever, right? So Mina 1 and Mina 2 are as close as they've ever been. But I mean, Falcons is still the better team. Like, clear.
Yep. I definitely agree with that. If we want to hit the aggregate and then unveil number 6.
I think is this gonna be Twisted Minds, or has Myth dragged them all the way to 4, and so somehow they've
No. This
they've
is going to
gone
be
up.
Ultimates, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we unveil 6 as well, I feel like I completely baited us by saying I think we were going to checkerboard with Dignitas and Ultimates, forgetting that I had Twisted Minds between them.
Okay.
But wow. Okay. Oh gosh.
Whoa.
I don't know how to
Oh,
react to that
okay.
ranking from Myth, but we'll talk about that
Interesting.
later.
Interesting.
I'll talk about Ultimates. This is the team that I had moving above Twisted Minds, as I mean we can see. They took down NRG in a sweep. That, like, you can say what you will about NRG, and you know maybe they weren't looking the best on the weekend. They had obviously been swept by Space Station as well, but it's like the massive props to them for getting to where they did. They stopped the final streak, which all things considered, like NRG still have the narrative to want to win. Like it's an attempt to make your first three-peat. It's an attempt to continue your final streak heading into the LAN, where like a lot of people were thinking their final streak isn't going to be broken until they make LAN. It's like you made a statement by ending it before then. And not only that, it was a pretty clean 4-0 sweep over what was, in my opinion, at least before the event, like, a top 3 team in the world. I might have even had them 2. Like,
You had them too. I had them too as well.
I had them too. Like, that was a good team that you took down, made the finals. Now it appears that LJ is just like banned from winning, unfortunately, which sucks. But I don't really know how much I want to overreact to Ultimates losing that final, all things considered. It feels similar to me to Twisted Minds versus Falcons last event, because it's honestly the exact same situation where Falcons were up 2-0 in games, and I think they might have even been up 2-0 in game 3, and then they just lose the series from there. Same exact thing happens to Ultimates. They were up 2-0 in game 3, could have gone on to be 3-0 up in the series, not even having this conversation, and then they just slip up, foot off the gas. Genji steals the momentum and runs with it from there. So I'm not too worried about Ultimates losing that final. I think they're still on a very solid upward trajectory, and I'm curious to see if that can continue into the LAN. Dolphin, what are you thinking about these guys?
Yeah, this is my favorite North American player, First Killer. That's my boy right there. If they had won the regional, I was really seriously considering putting Ultimates number 2. Just like for fun. I don't know. I really wanted to have that shock value on my list somewhere, and I just wanted to. I thought it would be funny if Ultimates had clutched it, and then I put them number 2 in the world. Like,
It would have been a statement.
they lost. And that really made me so sad to lose that finals. I was like, we have this in the bag. We're better than them. We've just beat NRG. Like, come on, let's finish it out. And it made me really sad to lose it. But at the end of the day, it's just the regional. It doesn't really matter. First Killer has plenty of regional wins, so like whatever.
No.
I wasn't like destroyed by this loss as a fan.
I was destroyed by this loss.
But I was happy to see that First Killer stopping Atomic's 3-peat has now happened 3 times. That's history. What is Rocket League if not history repeating itself? Right?
That's very true. We saw that this event front and center.
Yep. So, I'm a believer in this team probably making top 6. If you see Dignitas is close, you could probably say that Dignitas is better than Ultimates. But I will just if you're placing those two ahead of me, and I'm betting again. I keep bringing up betting, but gambling is fun. If you put those two teams and you say, what team am I going to put money on? I'm giving my money to Ultimus. So,
All right.
I'm a believer.
Yep, that's valid. Belleair, I think I'll have you close out our thoughts on Dignitas as a whole.
Yeah. The conversation for me starts with Jack. I just still think that he's a consummate pro. If I'm trying to build a team around players feeling confident on the pitch, which again, like, pressure was a huge word for me, and I think confidence goes a long way. We saw it with GK. Even going back to that oxygen from last season, just like the confidence you can do it. Jack has done this. We know that open ones aren't always won by the most conventional winners. I think Joria's is kind of we kind of already past performance informs how we talk about him in a negative way, where it's like the top 8 curse, but they've looked awesome. And Stizzy is an X factor for me. I still don't have a super strong opinion on where I think he fits in contextually against the other young players, but deserved spot for Dignitas, a team that I thought had about a 2% chance of making a top 4, and they've done it in style. So
nice. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, none of us had Dignitas. Dignitas moved up a lot. Preseason to now 13th, all the way up to 8.
Geez.
So that's plus 5. Pretty overperforming. If you consider that they were probably EU 5 or 6, and they've now definitely moved up into clear 3.
Yeah, I had them pretty clearly at 6 behind, Geeky was slotting in at number 5 for me.
Right.
Obviously, a large part of it is Gentlemates doing whatever Gentlemates did this split. But yeah, props to Dignitas for actually putting themselves firmly in that conversation. So we got one more to talk on for number 6. I really thought this was going to be our thoughts on Twisted Minds, but it's not. It's our thoughts on Furia Myth. Take the floor.
All right. Okay, before I say Furia and Twisted Minds, they're like same ranking wise for me. They're literally like neck and neck. Like it's not even like Twisted Minds or like a hair ahead. Literally it's the same. I have to put one or the other. Like if it's up to me, I just put like tied 5th, but I can't because of the aggregate. So and just Mina is just stronger than Sam, just based on what I've seen. I mean, I had to pick one. I am going Twisted Minds. Like, it literally asked me this tomorrow. I'm doubting myself as I speak. Like, I have to put one over the other, but I just think it's. If I had to pick one, it's just Twisted. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
All right.
But shout out Jan, he looks so good.
Yes.
No,
yes.
normally I think Lost is their best player, but this time it's Jan. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that Twisted Secret was worse than I expected. Which just devalue their repeat in my mind a bit. So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into aggregate number 6.
Ooh, I think it's gonna be Twisted Minds.
It's got to be Twisted, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
How long is the recording, by the way, by now?
Right
2
now,
hours
recording is saying 2:20. So we'll probably have a lot of the similar talking points when it comes to the top 5. There's only, I think all of us had the same top 5, barring one change here. So
sure.
Ready
for 5?
Yeah, if we can go ahead and unveil 5. Myth, do you feel like you've covered your points on Twisted Minds?
What? Falcon's 5th.
Falcon's 5th.
Yeah,
what
Falcon's
are we
5th.
doing, guys?
Falcon's 5th.
What are we doing?
All right.
I'm leaving this.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in first? Do you care?
I was gonna give the floor to Belleair first because we were just talking about Fury. I want to continue that conversation a little bit.
Oh, sure, that works. That works.
I think that they deserve to be up here, right? Clearly, we all have pretty similar opinions on where they kind of fit into the wider RLCS. It is the same team that we're returning here, and I do think there's some validity to I think Dolphin, you had said it earlier, like you used to be able to catch a version 1 in the top 8, and now it's a little bit tougher. I think if you're really looking at these top teams up here and your vitality and you catch Furia in a top 8, you're like, Furia. Like that's more, I'd rather go up against Furia, I think, than Twisted Minds just because of like what it could be. I just think that a little bit of that venom and fear that they brought previously is tempered off a little bit. So still a incredible team, one of the best in the world, but I have them at 5th.
All right. Myth, I hope we're good on Twisted Minds. I know we've talked about them at decent length.
Yeah, I don't have anything new to say. They are what they
Right.
are. So that's so much.
Dolphin, this is a no change Falcons 5th for you.
Yes. So post Open 2, it was a little reactionary from me, but I was really confused about how things were going, and I was like, Falcons has finally lost the regional. I'm gonna bump them -1, and then Falcons won and Furia won again. So I was like, well, if they both did the same, yes, Falcons did be Twisted Minds, which I do rate above Secret, but I think I'm on the opposite side of Myth's general concepts where he says, I don't like when teams stick. I do like when teams stick. I think it gives you time for things to start working out. And, sometimes you just have to believe. And I think Furia is as poised as they've been in a while for a top 4. I'm having them in top 4, right?
Yeah.
And Falcons, Falcons has the head-to-head, so there's tons of points that you could use to flip these two back. Falcons and Furia, I would say, are close for me again. Like, Falcons has the head-to-head at the last couple lands. Falcons, of course, made the finals at London. Falcons has Esports World Cup, which I don't care about at all, but some people care about. Or FIFA E, not Esports World Cup, FIFA E. I don't care about that at all. I wasn't thinking about that at all. But if you wanted to think about that, you could use that as points for Falcons and not for Furia, because Brazil didn't win. I don't know. At some point, some of this is just a little bit of opinion, right? Like there is, you're allowed to have opinions in your list, and my opinion is that Falcons would lose to Furia tomorrow if they played. I just like Furia. I've always liked this team.
Well, even with a head-to-head, kind of Falcons just dominate Furia, because I think playstyle-wise, it's just Falcons just beat Furia.
That's fair.
If they, maybe it happens again, and then I say fine, Falcons for sure. I'll just keep them below. I'll keep Furia below them forever. If they lose again, probably. But
I actually will completely back you up on that, because
it makes me happy to see that you did the flip as well. Yes.
Yeah,
you're with me. You've joined the rebellion.
Yep, and I mean,
you're since 15. You're like identical, bro. You're the same person.
It's crazy, actually. Honestly,
Secret and NIP are the only difference.
It was not on purpose.
But yeah, Falcons. I mean, there's obviously the talking point that I had the #1 going into the season. They dropped pretty quickly.
Yeah, because some people thought FIFA was a valid event to judge teams.
Listen, I had my arguments. I felt they were valid, and I also said the minute they slip up, I'm dropping them. They slipped up, I dropped them. They slipped up again, I dropped them even more. All things considered, they slipped up this event. Like, are we gonna ignore the fact that they lost to Infinity in the Swiss stage?
You said if you
yeah,
you said if you slipped, okay, then
they lost to Infinity in the Swiss stage. Now
I wasn't thinking about that at all.
This
Swiss
actually,
doesn't matter.
yeah, Swiss doesn't matter to you. But this actually blew my mind. This conversation that I was having this week. There was a select group of people that were trying to convince me that MENA has more depth than South America, and I just
thoroughly Discord.
I just wasn't buying that. I'm sorry. Like, I know that at least the people I'm talking about, I know they're like a lot more in depth.
Hi guys. Hi there.
Hello guys. If you're watching, thank you. But
thanks for making it 2 hours and 30 minutes into the video.
Exactly. I know they watch MENA more than I do. In fairness, I watch South America more. I just have a lot more fun watching that region. But I still think at this point, like, they've grown closer. South America has more depth. Falcons losing to Infinity in the Swiss, like, that is a warning sign out of Falcons that we have not seen from them actually ever. Meanwhile, Furia in South America, we're having this discussion because we know that, the main point is like, why is Falcons below Furia, especially with that head-to-head over LAN? Furia is perfect. They're the only team that's perfect this season. You can talk about how they don't have as much competition at the top, like Twisted Minds is better than Team Secret. You can see on the rankings, I agree with that. But Furia has taken care of business every single time. Now Falcons, suddenly, you don't want to overreact to one series, but they haven't. And they're slowly slipping. They do win the event, which stabilizes them. I do think, their expectations should be top 4, but I've cooled on them a lot. And they have every opportunity to win that back, but at this point, for me, they're going to have to. So.
All right. Are we ready to see aggregate 5?
Let's go aggregate 5, yeah.
It's gonna be.
Is it going to be...
Furia?
It's got to be
Falcons?
Furia. It's got to be Furia.
Oh, yeah. I think it's
Furia.
going to be Furia.
Yeah, it's gonna be Furia.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
That's fair.
Furia 5. What's our number 4?
Well, I know what mine is. And I think I know what yours is. Whoa! Okay. That was not what I was thinking.
All right.
Okay.
I was just
Okay.
talking about Furia. Dolphin, you want to
Whoa,
take it away a bit?
Sure. Furia's perfect. I'm a
I'm
believer.
deflecting for now.
Fury top 3 is insane. I'm never coming back on this show, bro.
I don't know. I mean, there isn't. You covered it well. They're perfect. They look good. Until proven otherwise, I'm gonna believe that Secret is still good and Furia are just better. If we see Furia go out 7th, 8th, and we see Secret go out 1 and 3, then I'll say I'll adjust things accordingly. But it's really hard with these long off seasons to know what's actually going on interregionally, and I don't know. I'm a believer. Like I said, this is just my opinion. I like Furia. I like this team, and I think that they can do it. I think top 4 is not out. I mean, Furia and Falcons close, but it's not another question for them.
Yep. All right. Before Myth and I touch on Vitality, Belleair, you want to close our Falcons? Or actually, they probably won't close it because I got to talk about them later, I'm sure. But you want to talk about Falcons?
And Myth is talking about them later too.
Yeah,
True.
I kind of felt like I appreciate and respect like there's so much there's so many factors and personal preference that come once you get this high up. For me, they seem like a solid top 4 lock. Just thinking about what they've been able to do at LANs in the past, they definitely have come down to earth a little bit with Twisted Minds coming into the region. That's a big loss for them. If you actually watch that series, I rewatched it not too long ago. They really were just taking it to Twisted Minds, and it seemed like they pulled their foot off the gas a little early. Since then, they've been awesome outside of that weird Infinity loss, who Infinity's not even that great of a team. I still think they believe in themselves coming in here. I feel like they had the highest peak out of any team in the world last season. There were certain series where they just looked unstoppable. So until proven otherwise, I got them here.
All right. Myth, do you want to touch on Vitality? You've got them dropping further than I do.
I feel like you haven't touched on enough stuff, Martin, so I'm going to let you go.
All right.
You've never listened to
Yeah. Vitality, this is... I could have an argument for Vitality to be 5th. Like, maybe that's a hot take.
Interesting.
But I could drop them. Like, they haven't shown much of anything. They claw it back in the group stage to, challenge Carmine, at least take them to game 5. They lose in that Champions Field again. That's like, what, I think the 3rd time that they would have, that would have been the 3rd time that they faced off against Carmine Core this split and still couldn't get it done. And then the 4th time looks even further apart. It's a 4-1. I mean, these guys aren't the most inspiring. They lose to Celestal in the Swiss again. Like, they're starting slow.
This guy loves talking about Swiss.
I love talking about Swiss. It counts. I mean, those are fun days in my defense. But
they're fun days, but I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, still
we just have different personal opinions about how much that matters.
Yeah.
They lost to Fast Forward in Swiss as well.
Exactly. Like, they're dropping series that they shouldn't, and those are the warning signs of a team that starts to worry me. But yeah, I've got them above Falcons for now because Falcons also took that loss in the Swiss, and so gonna drop them both. I mean, I'd say Infinity is better than Seleção pretty cleanly, but it's also, yeah. I can see the arguments for dropping Vitality to 5th, but there's also the aura of like, it's Monkey Moon and it's Zen, and it's hard to argue against the names on paper. So if I had to
never
like
3 world finals in the bag, bro.
Yeah, if I've got my top 4 and like I'm trying to argue for those being semifinalists, I'm very close. Like Vitality are the ones that I'm like, I don't know if you guys make semifinals unless you actually fix something. So, Myth, you want to take it away?
All right. Okay. Also, just for the record, there's a reference to a team that I moved, which may affect the aggregate. Like I moved it post the aggregate's creation.
Okay.
Vitality, I did move from 3 to 4. So
Okay.
and I swapped them. I moved my team I had at 4 up to 3. So just for the record, it's weird, man. Because I was saying it all comes down to just Monkey Moon, man. Because like at the same time, it's like, okay, this team isn't really performing, but at the same time, we have Monkey Moon on the team. He's never exactly been a hot starter to seasons except for Royal CSX, but that was of course a while ago now, and he's not the best player in the world individually anymore. I don't think that's crazy to say at all.
Mhm.
But I mean, I have just a weird feeling that they will just win the major, and it really wouldn't surprise me if they did. But like, I don't think they're gonna like miss this. I could see him coming 7th, 8th. It's just, I don't know, man. I think you've kind of touched on everything I said. They have some, I said it's in air quotes, bad losses, but like, they only really lost to teams that were in contention to make major. Like, their only non-major team losses to NIP, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh no, they lost to a team in Swiss, but Swiss doesn't matter. It's Mickey. So.
See, this guy gets me.
Nah, man, you can't be losing to Seleção at any point. But
bro, you
Okay,
were the one who's
NRG
thinking
lost to
hard
Pirates.
rock
Like, who
and
cares?
everyone-
Everybody drops, like I said, everybody drops random series in Swiss. It's fine.
Oh,
But
I
Marvel,
judge-
it's
yeah.
not biased,
Round
you have to
1
record
Swiss is
every
like the least
single
important series.
nah,
you'll ever play.
don't get me wrong. I judged NRG for dropping the Pirates too.
Okay.
But all right, do we want to go ahead reveal aggregate number 4?
Also, well,
Ooh, I'm
just one more thing
interested.
about Vitality.
Is this gonna be
One
Falcons?
more thing about Vitality.
Yeah,
Sure.
go
Just
for
one
it,
more
Myth.
thing about
Is this
Vitality.
going to be gas?
I had them and my number 3 team as interchangeable, the same way I have Twisted Minds and Drew. As in,
Okay.
literally, the way I broke this was I made a poll on Shift, see who the
This guy
thought was
loves
best
using
for
other
my-
people's opinions for his own opinion. You could just have your own opinions, you know. You're allowed
No.
to have your own opinions about things. That's fine.
You
You
know,
know.
it's not, bro. The way I see things is just hard. They're so close in my mind because they're
They
both
are,
ups and
yeah.
downs.
I do see what you're
I mean,
saying.
you don't know who I have it. You don't know who I have it 3 though.
I do.
May surprise you.
I do know how you have it 3, Myth, because I'm on that server
Falcons at 4.
as
Okay.
well. Yeah, Falcons 4
Falcons
aggregate
at
doesn't
4.
surprise me. If we want to go ahead and unveil 3, I'll let Myth keep his talking about the 2 teams that he thinks
Should we
are
do
closest here.
Should we do top 3 all at once? Should we do top 3 all at once?
No, we'll do 3 now.
Never mind.
Interesting.
That's actually surprising. Okay.
Mm.
Myth, go
What's-
ahead.
What's
Whoa,
surprising
whoa,
here?
whoa,
Nothing
wait.
surprised me.
Myth, go
No,
ahead
you
with
have-
NRG. I know
do
you
it.
said they were close to Vitality in your book.
Yeah, they're literally just the same as I'll do in my mind. Like,
Okay.
they're just like that regional 3 loss was just really like that regional 3 loss is as bad as all of Vitality's losses combined throughout the splits. Me, because Anna's just weaker right now, and at the same time, Vitality have Monkey Moon, Zen, and Exotic on one team. That's like as talented of a roster. It's just the same to me. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts.
All right. We got
Ben, I'm interested to see your thoughts on NLG, to be honest.
I'll touch on them in a bit. We got 2 other people with NRG at number 3 as well. Dolphin having them moving down. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
They lost their regional. You know, you got to be winning those. If you want to hold number 2 in the world, you got to be winning that, in my opinion. And First Killer stops Atomic again. Like I said, history repeats itself.
No.
And it wasn't even like a close series, you know. If you know, Game 7 is always going to be worth more than Sweet getting swept. So you're looking at that, and otherwise, NRG was normal. You know, they beat them in the groups, and then they were beating other teams that they faced. Right, like everything was as expected. It was just that one series, is the one that you're looking at to move them.
Yeah. All right, and then
Good team. I still think that they're pretty clear top 4 in the world, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Belleair, you
Yeah, I
want to
think-
touch on them next?
Yeah, I'm not. I kind of contradict myself all over this exercise, but I don't really care that they lost that open 3. It was weird that they're boot camping and they go out in the style that they do for sure.
That's a
But
bad sign.
still, at the end of the day, when you get to these majors, there's a couple of teams that you just have to go through, and they're one of, they hold one of they're part of the gauntlet, right? Best team, second best region. I'd struggle to put them anywhere besides top 3, I think.
All right. Yep. I mean, it's pretty clear I'm the elephant in the room here. So Furia at 3. Fury at 3. I said last week, Belleair was there. I said I almost put these guys at 3 after open 3 or open 2. Like, these guys at this point are the only undefeated team. If we look at the top 5 teams, I think all of them move down in my mind. Like, Carmine Core from open 3 is worse than Carmine Core from open 2. And like, you got on the list. Every single team is worse than they were in my head last time we did these rankings, except for Furia. They're the only ones consistently doing what they're supposed to be doing at this level. So yeah, I've got them moving up too. I said I almost did it last time. The fact that they stay even while everyone else is moving down keeps them there. I think if you're Furia, this is the time you have to make a final. Like, straight up, if you're perfect in South America, if you don't make a final this time, there's really not much hope that you're going to get. So I think top 4 is the bare minimum for this team. Finals should be the expectation. And, maybe that's South American bias showing. Maybe that's just hope showing. But it's like, these guys have set themselves up to keep that momentum rolling. Every single event last year, despite how poorly you might be viewed or how poorly you did in South America or how poorly you did in the previous land, they went 2-0 to start every single Swiss. You got to do that to start off. Hopefully you can finish the job and go 3-0 this time. Put yourselves in the position for the top 6. Like, this is a dangerous squad. I hope they can show it, because if they can't, we really start asking questions about South America. So, because
I
they've
agree with
proven-
you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this does feel like their best opportunity, right?
Yep.
To snatch this first major here, they're in a good spot and good form.
Yeah. If there was ever a time, like, you're 27-0, you're clearly at the top of South America. This is a region that, in my opinion, had some of the most depth. Last year, they had 4 different regional winners, and now you're perfect. Like, this is your window. Capitalize on it. So.
Right.
Yep, that's
I
where I'm
want
at.
to roll back to NRG for 1 second
Go
to
for
point
it.
out, is the James Bond boot camp nerf, is that real?
Oh, I've got
how
a
are we
take on
feeling
this.
about that?
I've got a take on this. You want to go to the Genji, or you want to go to the James Bot boot camp, but only because you're going to win an event when you're not boot camping there. If you look at it, NRG goes for the boot camp for open 3, right? They win opens 1 and 2 before that. Gen G goes for opens 1 and 2. They don't go for 3. They win the 3rd event. So you want to be there for one of them so that you win the other 2 events.
Just go once to improve
Exactly.
your chances.
Sacrifice that event and then go win the other 2.
Hey,
Interesting.
hey, they gas beat Shopify at that.
That's true.
Well, I guess it was just Garrett. It wasn't full boot camp. But.
Yeah,
That series was so funny to watch live. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
cinema.
that was when I was having a good day. Yeah.
Yes.
Do we want to?
And how do we believe about Dazarin finally coming back to NRG just for Gen G to finally win?
That was also
Any thoughts?
hysterical.
Incredible
That dude
stuff.
is cursed. It's hysterical.
He's
Yep.
new. He's new as Fura, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Dazarin is new as Fura.
Let's do
So
something.
can I make a point? Sorry. People, can we not, in 2025, the big 2025, can we stop predicting Falcons Fury finals? It's not happening, bro. It's not happening. People were stupid to predict it last year, but stupid for doing it
Who's
this year. It ain't
people?
happening.
Who's people?
I think he's being influenced a
One
bit.
round of Reddit.
Okay, well, there's always gonna be one guy doing something.
I think, in fairness, this is the most
you're
likely
honest.
we're gonna
Not
ever
happening.
see that, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So,
It ain't happening, bro.
let's do something unique here. Let's unveil all 3 of the aggregate finals, because I have a feeling we'll kind of know how.
Okay,
these
so I
shake
just
out.
messed up the aggregate because I changed after, but it's fine. Hopefully, I don't think it's gonna change it. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it probably doesn't change it. If we want to unveil 1 and 2 then as well.
Do you want to do each person at a time? I think we should. That's fun.
Okay.
You want to go?
I'll
I
go
mean,
first because we've been talking about
We all
energy,
should
and I
have
still got to
KC1.
talk about them.
We all should have KC1.
So I've got Carmine 1, NRG 2. I mean, I said that, this Carmine is lower ranked than last time I ranked Carmine because they did lose to Geek, right? That's, still a one-off. Don't want to panic about that. They're still the tournament favorites. If anything, like I know Dolphin and I were talking about this, like if anything, this actually gives me more hope in Carmine to win the major because now they have some of their weaknesses exposed and they're not going to be cruising as much. As opposed to like if they had three-peated again online, I'd be very worried that they go out semifinals or something again this major and don't win it. So
Free run.
Yep. Liking this Carmine core at number 1, NRG at number 2. I said that I did take the account, like I did take into account Pirates on a Boat, and I do take into account the Ultimate Series, but like I just also think that basically everyone else around them is dropping series that they shouldn't as well, and so I don't think that the loss to Pirates and the loss to Ultimates are so much worse than the losses to Celisao and multiple times Carmine Core in worse fashion, as well as Falcons losing to Infinity. So, Yep.
Okay.
Myth, you want to go ahead because I know we're waiting on Carmine and Falcons for you.
Yeah. I have KC1. I kind of have the same
Sure.
thoughts, but at the same time, my one worry for them is that Atto is still a perennial land choker.
Mhm. I can see that. Yeah.
He's been that way since like it's not like he's bad online, he just can't win it. Can't just win when he's expected to.
Mhm.
And I hope he can fix it. He's got the most recent LAN winner on his side and one of the best LAN players on his side, on his other side. But yeah, same kind of thoughts. They should be favored, but they're not. They don't feel as They don't feel as inevitable as like a Vitality Worlds 22-23 or even like a. They don't even feel as inevitable as Casey did last major one. They feel about as inevitable as they did going into San Diego winter. And if you notice what I've done there, you're very clever.
But they were more inevitable at San Diego than I think at. Maybe that's hindsight talking. I think that's hindsight, actually.
That probably
they
is.
lost like a 3 to Lake. They dropped regional 3 to Liquid.
They dropped
right.
regional 3 to Liquid. I think a lot of it is like once Copenhagen rolled around and Championship Sunday rolled around, we were like any 8 of these teams could win because we had seen Carmine lose once, but we really hadn't before then. So I think heading into Copenhagen, we were all like, yeah, Carmine should be the favorites.
Yeah,
but
that's true. Everybody was predicting them.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, Carmine Corp's winning.
Dolphin, you changed yours last second, so I assume you've got a talking point. Hold on. Don't unveil it.
I do.
I'm going to have Belleair go first because I know
sure.
you did that last minute change. So, all right, Carmine Vitality.
Best region in the world. Carmine Core, like, say what you will. I will hear and accept and understand and appreciate all negative things that you can say about Vitality. It has not been a clean split for them at all. They've looked pretty poor at times. Definitely have a lot to figure out. At the same time, I cannot get over like it's Zen, Monkey Moon, and Exotic. Like it's just I just have a block in my mind that it's like I'm fluid on all of these teams, but I'm very rigid on Vitality. I have to be proven otherwise, and that's all kind of just like, okay, fine. Honestly, if you want to turn a weird situation and spin it positive for me, like the whole Zen situation, clearly this is a very pressurized organization. There's a lot of expectations on them to win. And I feel like the situation that we saw with Zen kind of breaking down after the 1v1 situation is kind of a release valve for a lot of that pressure. They're now coming in with kind of like, it seems like that monkey is off the back. So I feel like the situation that they find themselves in heading into Birmingham, not as much pressure to win as Carmine Core. I feel like NRG, Falcons, Furia have a lot of pressure as well. Vitality are kind of sneaking in here as like we'll just kind of see what happens, which I think is a good sign for them.
All right. Yeah, that's actually, they've got that underdog mentality somehow. Despite
somehow.
they have.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Go ahead.
So
I'm
are
very
we good or what?
curious. Yeah, we're good.
All right.
I'm very curious.
So
I don't know how you
so
do this.
here was the original lore point here. I have a Vitality Zen jersey. It's on the way. It was supposed to be here today. It's not here. I was gonna get off screen, come back, and be wearing the jersey and be like this. Let me tell you about the best team in the world. I flipped them back when I knew that the jersey wasn't gonna come, but then I changed my mind again and I said, you know what, I'm sticking to it. This is my prediction. If I'm looking at this after the tournament, I want my list to reflect as much as possible how I'm thinking the tournament is gonna go. And I am a believer in this Vitality team to win this tournament. I know that they haven't looked, I'm not gonna say like they're like miserable, but they haven't looked at all like the #1 team in the world. So it is kind of
Because I do kind of have a feeling that
if you look at this as objectively as possible, it's wrong. But that's not
Yeah.
how I like to do my lists. Like I've been saying for these a couple of points that I've been making. Some of it is opinion, and this is my opinion. This is my favorite team. This is my favorite EU player. Monkey Moon is the greatest player of all time, and Zen is my current pick for the best player in the world. So I still believe.
I mean, he's very
I'm a big
talented.
believer. This
I
team could have come in as EU3, and I still would have believed.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
who's gonna stop Monkey Moon? It's not. I don't know.
All right.
And,
It ain't Wolves, bro. Anyone can stop him when it's not Wolves, bro.
yeah, well,
All right. I mean, I know that one of the
I'm really
Belleair's
sad the
talking
jersey didn't come in
points-
time, man. I'm really
Yeah,
sad.
that's tough. That's tough. I know one of Belleair's talking points
What?
is like, you know, obviously with Carmine not sweeping the entire EU, obviously now, but with Carmine looking clearly as #1 and still having Vitality at 2, despite some of the real results that we were seeing out of them, it's like, what ends up happening on LAN, right? And yeah,
I do
it's
have
a
a
bold
feeling
call,
that
and it'll either
Wolves.
age well or it'll age pretty poorly. But
Because I also have that feeling.
yeah, there's something like the names on paper, like it's impossible to overlook. And yet
The
I
thing
still
is,
want to
with
overlook them
Vitality-
myself. So
With Vitality at any event, they can just come in, peak, and just win, and I wouldn't be surprised.
no,
Or literally
Exactly.
any event this season.
exactly.
Exactly.
I think it's the only time it's the Worlds are expected to, because like Monkey Moon, Monkey Moon Perfection Ball, when he is a mechanical player, like they're playing perfect at Worlds. And now that the mechanical player is Zen, bro. Like Monkey Moon Perfection Ball with Zen, that's gonna be crazy.
And you were gonna see it next week. You just have to believe.
Could
It's
I know
Do you
we're
believe? I believe.
I know we're already long, but could I
It's 2 weeks.
ask?
Go for it.
I feel like the field is so deep. Would you guys usually, I feel like as a community, like in totality, you can kind of take the favorite versus the field. But what's your perspective coming into Birmingham? Like Martian, I think the rankings kind of show this, but Carmine Core are probably the strongest. Would you take them over the field as chances to win this whole thing?
Like if we're asking 50-50 shot, would
Yeah.
I take them over the field? No, I think predicting a team to be 50% likely to win a major is always going to be a bold call. Like for
Well,
instance,
they've been taking Vitality Worlds.
The-
Because they were just so clear.
yeah, I mean, I guess Vitality 23 Worlds, yeah, that's a lot less close. But in terms of what we saw in like Copenhagen, like I think that was a much more likely case for you to say, yeah, Carmine versus the field, I'll pick Carmine. But we didn't end up seeing that when that looked like quite possibly the strongest version of Carmine we're ever going to see. I think as much as I'm talking about how all these teams have D-ranked in my eyes, you know, Carmine included, NRG included, it's like at the end of the day, those are wake-up calls that really help you fix your problems. And sometimes it takes that kind of adversity, that kind of like eye-opening, oh shoot, we lost when we definitely shouldn't have. It takes that to, you know, be able to overcome that and end up winning an event in turn. So yeah, I still think I'd take the field, but also wouldn't be shocked to see Carmine win.
I take the field for sure because I'm
Yeah.
picking Vitality, right?
Yeah.
I'll still feel. I think it's like 35% chance KC win. Then like there's Vitality, Falcons, NRG, Twisted Minds, and Furia, who could all sort
Twisted
of win
Minds,
it.
I don't know.
The Twisted Minds to me are in like the same sort of place the Gentlemates were in last season. That's why I think they could win it. I've read the similar rankings wise.
Sure.
No.
Do
All right.
you want to open up this whole black section on average aggregate things to take a look?
Yeah, least agreed upon and
I'll open
standard
that.
deviation. Let's go ahead. Is this good on the
I think I have an idea of who.
camera?
I think
So Pirates, Starpoint, TSM, MTS, the bottom 4 teams that we have
Mhm.
on the aggregate makes sense. I think they only showed up.
least agreed
Pirates
upon
was on your
interesting.
list. Starpoint was only on Mid's list. TSM was only on Belleair's list.
Oh, I can't see
Or-
that right now.
No,
No,
TSM. I mean
TSM
Martian's
was.
list.
Okay.
Only on Martian's list.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, no, I didn't
MTS
see it.
was
Also,
only on Belleair's
biggest
list.
disagreement is interesting.
But yeah.
Least agreed upon.
Gentlemen.
Gentlemates being the least agreed upon doesn't surprise me once I saw them ranked. I'm actually like kind of surprised that they were ranked. I was out on them after they lost that. And there was nowhere I could really feel like I could squeeze them in legally. But yeah, in terms of the names on paper argument, which I know you and Dolphin tend to skew a bit more towards, like, you know, the results be what they are, but there's still a large amount of faith placed in teams that we've seen do it before. And, you know, Gentlemates are a team that even with their results of split, we've seen them do it before. So that's a lot of us waffling. So I'm going to try to wrap this up. It'll be a little bit shorter than 3 hours because I'm editing some stuff out, but I'll go ahead.
Do you reckon we'll make this a two-parter?
Why?
No, there's not enough time. But I'll go ahead. Myth, do you want to shout anything out before we close?
Shout out my Twitter. I'm really funny. Shout out because he asked me to halfway through the show, like on shift. I've been typing in shift a little bit during the show. I have to confess. Shout out Kiki on shift. You funny bastard. Shout out all the shift except for the people I don't like.
All right.
Yeah.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Dolphin, what do you got?
I don't think I have anything. This list is all mine, even though we had 10 of the same teams, like in a row.
We did not copy the homework.
This is my.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't like. I was off Twitter. I deleted Twitter. I was completely off of Reddit the day I made it. So like, this is. I don't know. Don't have anyone to really say.
It's actually crazy how close it ended up working out, honestly.
Yep.
But Belleair, you got any shout-outs?
Shout out Martian for putting this whole thing together. It's been a really fun thought experiment as we've moved throughout the split here. Listen to Shiftcast, check out the Need Boost podcast. I'm putting out stuff on YouTube, working on a Zen video here that'll be out shortly. Shout out my buddy Zeke. He knows nothing about the Rocket League scene at all, but you know, Myth's shouting out people. So you know, shout out to my real life friend who will never hear about this.
We can get Martian on this show. So I mean, knowing stuff about Rocket League isn't necessarily a requirement.
Whoa. Whoa. All right.
True. If we're just doing random things, shout out my guy Rick.
Hey Rick.
We
a big fan of Rick.
He's coming with me to Raleigh.
Oh, nice.
We're driving together.
Sweet.
So,
all right.
He likes Rocket League, but he's not going to watch this video.
That's valid.
Shout out my parents. They do not know I don't. They don't know I do. Actually, no, they do know I do this. I just don't give them the link because I don't want to watch this.
Yep. Again, shout out Myth's parents. Huge.
Yeah.
But no, I'll go ahead. Give a little bit of a teaser. I am working on expanding the amount of people on the aggregate. It's not going to be. I don't know if we're going to be able to hear from everyone in like the longer form content, but I'm hoping to bring the aggregate up to 10 different people. I've already mentioned Pyro Blocks. He's going to be on it.
People made the list, aren't they? Some big frauds.
Yeah. I'm stealing a bit of shift talent as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'll end up like, you know, I feel like adding more people to this will help give us more of an idea as we get to like number 20, right? Because number 20 was ranked by 2 different people this week, but like in weeks past, it was like, you know, one person had this team on the rankings and that shoots them up to a certain level. So hopefully bringing on more people ends up balancing that out. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd probably have to shout myself out. Also shout out my roommate. He's awesome. He isn't here right now, but he lets me do this. And at some point, I think we're going to do fun non-Rocket League thing on the channel, which should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping to set up a 32 race pre for Mario Kart, have a couple friends over, stream that, so it should be a lot of fun. But if you listened this far, thank you. Hopefully, you all have enjoyed. And the shorter form rankings videos tomorrow, but you guys already know what's all in that. I'll re-add the aggregate because a couple things have changed. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.